Greetings, family. Thank you for your patience. We are ready to get started tonight. This is an orientation class for new nationals and updates for nationals who may have been around. Not anything in particular, maybe some reminders. We are going to make this as sufficient as possible because I know you will have questions. This is being recorded. It will be uploaded to the private TV page at www.arna.org. That is the official and main website for our jurisdiction. In case you've been using other websites, juris websites to register and do those particular things, with some of the updates that we have now, you will be required to get your registrations and other things done at that website, and we'll continue to update you on those particular things. But we want to start out first because we always start with the Constitution for ARNA, and I'm going to say the preamble, and we're supposed to know the preamble. We're supposed to know our general orders, and we'll go over that a little bit later into the conversation. So you can repeat after me or not repeat after me because all of y'all are mute. So I'm just going to say it. All right. We, the people of the Aboriginal Republic of North America, asserting our natural Aboriginal rights as the oldest recorded Aboriginal Indigenous peoples of the Americas, consisting of an Aboriginal union of Indigenous peoples living in accord with divine law. Living in accord with natural law, the law of our ancestors. We hereby recognize all nationals of the Aboriginal Republic of North America as a unified community, establish our divine right to self-rule, a common defense of our nation, a complete unified will for progress and prosperity by and for our people, establishing justice by way of natural law and equality and complete autonomy as a nation. All right, so we know that the most important process for anybody who is interfacing with ARNA, Shiamuru tribal government, is getting the process of coming in properly. But the question is, what are you coming into? And once you get that down and clear, then voila, you can move on with security and be clear about what you are about to establish. If you go to the main page at www.arnagovernment.org, we have a full detailed about statement about who we are, what we do, how we do it, why we do it historically. It is the duty of every national to read the website. That will help you even when you begin to form questions. It is one thing that I must give you a caveat on. If you are lazy, you will have problems in this jurisdiction. If you do not want to read, you will have problems in this jurisdiction. It is not that you can't get your questions answered. It is just that the problem with world citizens all throughout the planet is that they are ignorant of the civics of their own jurisdiction. And so in order to be functional in any nation, the constituent nationals who make up the body politic must be aware of their rights and their responsibilities. And so this is the plague, the curse of humanity, not reading, not being aware, not knowing your rights and your responsibilities when it comes to government and civics. I see some people trying to come in. Give me a minute. Let y'all know. Okay, so we stress studying. You come in with an exam, all right? The rites of passage is occurring. There's an exam towards that. We need to understand that being intelligent and being informed is the key to your personal success and our group success, okay? So the first thing that I want to share with you is what nationality is and what it is not, okay? All nations on earth were formed from a posterity of people, a group of people who made a declaration that they were going to be a body politic. The perfect example of understanding your right to do what you're doing is to know the history. I put the history in this book right here. This is a book that gives you a foundation on the history of the United States of America and the history of your indigenous ancestors that you did not know existed. Or if you did know existed, maybe you were not as astute to the political side of what was happening with the formation of the United States of America. And I do not recommend that you go out and listen to online weirdos, cybermoors, and quacks who are not doing diligent research, who will run up on you and tell you that this is Morocco with no evidence, with innuendos, without providing proof. And so when we think about how the United States of America was formed, it was formed like all other nations. The peoples in it were subjects to a king. They were here as a labor class. The king had agreements with the Aboriginal peoples, later having agreements with the empire of people that were in West Africa that had territories over in the Americas too, Al-Mamlaka al-Maghrib, okay? And so the king, King George III, had his subjects here, and those subjects, while interfacing with the indigenous peoples, saw how they lived, learned about their government, learned about their culture, and they decided, man, look, why can't we do this ourselves? So a key person that I highlight in the literature is Charles Thompson, because he becomes the first British subject that becomes a national and nationalized into a tribe. He was nationalized by a man named Tidishon. He was given a name. He was given status as the secretary of the Continental Congress, which was formed by Tidishon. Tidishon is the grandson of a very famous Aboriginal whose name is Saint Tammany. He is given the title of a tutelar saint because he was a part of a group of Aboriginals who was interfacing with Europeans. Primarily, he interfaced with William Penn in what is now called Philadelphia. Okay? And so knowing these histories allows you to understand the political side of it. The Declaration of Independence was an expatriation document. Expatriation from under the status of being a subject of the king. And then they formed 13 colonies. They formed 13 colonies because they were guided by the indigenous people. And the number 13 is sacred. It's sacred to the wampum belt. It's sacred to the first stars that are on the national flag of the United States of America. It's sacred to the calendar system that is more ancient, the Tzolk'in. So Tidishon, Saint Tammany, all of these people are misnamed Delaware. And Delaware is just simply a name that was the name of a European military officer who conquered a group of people who they were calling Powhatan. The people's name was not Powhatan. The ceremonies that they participated in on the solstices and the equinoxes, that's Powhatan. Powhatan means 4 stones or 4 directions. And it's dealt with our sacred calendar system. We call it now tropical, solar, sidereal, and different names, lunar manzil. But we had all of these particular calendars. The Powhatan were the Shi. And when you go amongst the Shi, misnamed Mayans, you will find a deity, an ancestor called Powhatan. So this empire spread from Mexico, Bonaparte, all the way up through Virginia, all the way through the South. The pyramid and mound building civilization. What you haven't been taught is that these were so-called Black people. There are no missing Indians. White folks were here before the Europeans. There were no diseases that wiped anybody out because we had already been interacting with them. We had already been traveling across the Atlantic to Africa, to Rome, and the Europeans testify to this. If you go to the first page of Columbus's journal, what does he say? He said that the Aboriginals from here sent people to Rome to correspond with the Pope. How do we know how to get there? If we were interfacing with them, why didn't we just die off based on these disease theories? These are all tricks to hide the legacy of the so-called African American, who is the Aboriginal American. That's how simple it is. John Hancock and Charles Thompson, they became nationals of tribes in order to have status, in order to even be able to form their government. So when you study the history of the United States of America correctly, you understand how body politic is formed. So we as a people have the right to, one, know our ancestry, do our own genealogy, and self-identify in our own particular status that we used to have. And it's only on account of genocide and denationalization that we lost it. That's how simple this is. Everybody running around in the United States of America, feathers on, turbans on, feathers on. That summary that I just gave you is the summary. And I just did that in a few minutes. All the lectures, the YouTubes, all of that is a distraction away from doing what we propose doing, which is gradually building institutions, helping people become more aware of themselves, and using these institutions to help ourselves heal and move ourselves forward with further building. That is it. There is no magic in the hat trick to any of what we're doing. It is very simple. It is very basic. The need to make it complex is a part of the scam that is out here. And even if they're in ARNA scamming or making it complex, it's not complex, I promise you. And we're still growing, but as we grow, we're growing in a very firm, from a firm foundation and a firm direction. And so when we look at our right to self-determination, self-identification, and the ability to rebuild what we lost through genocide and denationalization, what do we need to do that? A flag, a constitution, a body of people, a land that we primarily inhabited in the past, and the ability to have officers of government to interact with other nations and to have the ability to produce commerce and protection for ourselves. This is what we're doing. So as the participation increases in those processes, we become better. All right, got some people coming in. We become better as a people. So there's no mystery to how we're doing what we're doing. We don't need permission. We don't need recognition by the Bureau of Indian Affairs. We don't need any of that. All we need to do is have the diplomatic ability to correspond with different bodies in their jurisdiction, right? Secretary of State, Attorney General are the two primary parties, so that we will not put ourselves in a dangerous position. We already did all of that. This is about work, focus, and building. The groundwork for the legal documents and all this stuff has already been laid, and we give you that history in the protocol manual. So there is no more mystery. If we're guessing about anything, is how fast we are going to put our minds together to accomplish the goals that we set out to accomplish as a people. And so now I want to go into what you are supposed to get from a jurist. When you come into ARNA, you are coming into a body politic, and people who are here have already been given instructions on what to give you, how to give it to you, and they all share the same information. One jurist is not getting information that another jurist is not getting. If a question needs to be asked by a jurist, he can ask another jurist, or he can come to headquarters or contact headquarters and ask us. It's just that simple. So your nationality process should be very simple. And when I go over how simple it is, those of you who have been obstructed in any way, you will see, and we can remedy the situation. But first, we have to properly educate you. All right, so let's jump into this. We're not going to waste any time. And I'll even share the file after I share these particular things. Okay. Move this over a little bit so I can see it. There we go. All right. All right. This is what every jurist gets. And every jurist is supposed to give you this document because you are supposed to know what you're supposed to do with each document. And if you don't know what to do with each document, then we have a problem. So I emailed this document to everybody on the email listserv. And as you can see, it lists 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 documents that you need to get from a jurist with the instructions on if you have to notarize something or do something, something else. All right. That's some folk in. All right. And we're going to show you these documents as well. All right. Certificate of Nationality. This document is sealed by an ARNA Aboriginal jurist. Keep it as evidence of the indigenous nationality with the IPA and or ARNA, Chiamaru tribal government. All right. For the second document, Tribal Certificate of Nationality. All right. This is a second document that basically has the same information, but this one gets notarized in the jurisdiction of the United States of America. Any notary that you need. You don't need to go beyond a notary. You don't need to take it to the Secretary of State. You just need the document notarized. That's it. Why are you getting the document notarized? Because if you ever have to submit a certified copy into their jurisdiction, you can copy your tribal certificate of nationality, which has their seals on it with dates on it, and say, look, I am a part of this tribe. I notice you guys. I'm the custodian of the document. Let me put this as an exhibit on record just to let you know who I am as we proceed with this business. Why do you want to do that? Because you have additional rights as an indigenous being. And those rights have to be asserted when someone is interacting with you on civil, criminal, and property matters. So if you have something in your trust that they're trying to take from you unlawfully, oh, these IDs are fraudulent. You come into court, you let them know who you are. We'll have affiant statements from headquarters if necessary. And we move on it and we get our property back because of the breach. If you're doing something outside of your indigenous rights, like for instance, you have your indigenous nationality card and tax exempt card, and you are in a land vessel, which we call a vehicle, and you're driving with it. That's a breach. You cannot travel, drive I don't care how many sovereign citizen websites you've been to, if you're going to move in a land vessel, you either need our tribal license and international driver's license, or a license from the state that you're in. You cannot drive with your nationality card. It is not for a conveyance. It is for identifying your person. And when you get the additional IDs, it's supposed to go through a process. And that process is listed on the main website. So we have jurists giving people tribal licenses and international driver's license without going through the proper procedure. I just went through this week just to go back and check. There's going to be more names. Why would you do that? Because one of the reasons why we go through the compliance document is to make sure that the person who is coming to us to get our license does not have warrants. Because what this looks like is if they get pulled over, if they get fingerprinted, and they've been fingerprinted before, now they have thousands of dollars of tickets and other things they haven't handled. It looks like we are using our process as a sales tactic to harbor fugitives from people who have not addressed the issues that they have. So the only reason the jurors would not go through the compliance form, since they all know it, is to scam somebody and scam your government. Why would you do that? So I don't have a problem, because that's why we have a government. When people break the law, we come together, we can arbitrate, or we can go through a jural society, or impanel an Aboriginal High Court and deal with the matter. But your identification is your identification, and these nationality documents are detailing that process. All right? We are not sovereign citizens. We understand our jurisdiction. We understand our position in the jurisdiction of the United States of America, a dual nationality, and we operate within those very efficiently. Which leads me to the second document, which people sometimes don't understand. When you do a name correction, it is for our jurisdiction first. This is why you get a document that is authenticated by a jurist in our jurisdiction. If you want that name to reflect in the United States of America, then you have to follow their rules for a name change. There was a time before the Dodd-Frank Act got pressed forward and making states comply, that we could do name changes without going into their courts to do it. Now what's going to happen is, even if you get past that, if they find out and you change your name on passports and other stuff, they're going to revoke all your stuff. So we made the change years ago, say, look, change it in our jurisdiction first, have evidence of it, because that gives priority to say, we are the ones who initiated the name correction. Then go to your county court, fill out the form, your tribal name, because they're going to ask you, why are you changing your name? Why are you changing your name? Oh, I have my tribal identity back. This is why I'm changing my name. I legally change it in our court. That can be an exhibit to whatever else documents y'all got. Bam. Knock that out. Now you can display your indigenous name and take those rights into all of your contracts. All of them. So other people are telling you things online that do not go with protection of commerce, property, and rights. Taj Tariq Bey will tell you driver's license is a fraud. Don't do this name change, whatever. But what Taj Tariq Bey will not tell you is that we had to help him years ago with his child support case because he was in jail and he did not know how to get out. That's a Fendi fact. I keep records on all of it. So if anybody ever open their mouth, we can just drop the Thor bolt on them. Drop the hammer on them. So we're showing you how to do these things right. Oh, if you go into their courts, you're going to become a corporate citizen. No, you're not. The only way you can become a corporate citizen is if you expatriate from ARNA and don't have another indigenous body that you can do a like thing with. Then you'll be stateless, or you have to go back to that status. All right. Next document. And I'm gonna open up these documents so you can see them too, but I'm just going through them in summary. Genealogy report. All right. Make sure y'all can see this. There we go. This is a standard report that, based on ARNA Department of Genealogy, you need the VCF standards to be indigenous, and the VCF deals with blood types. You have to have at least one parent that has O blood type, and everybody who looks like us has at least one parent with O blood type. Even if you have one parent with A and one parent with O, and your typing comes out as A, you have the genetic alleles, so that if you have O from one parent, A from one parent, and you come out with A. If you marry onto a sister that has O, the genetics of the child is going to go back. All right. It is the superior genetic alleles, right? So you have to have those particular things. And now, because we've upped our game on the genetic side, we'll have even more detailed information that you can do. But these are two documents that you use for your genealogy report. You can do extended genealogy. There are jurists who are taught how to do that. And last year I was going to make that a separate class, but I didn't, just because of time factors. But this year, by the summer, you'll be able to take a course so you can go off and have another form of entrepreneurship where I'll show you how to do genealogy for people, where to search, how to gather the information on your great-great-great-grandparents far back into the 1800s, and keep going depending on how documents are. So we'll have a two-pronged way of doing it: the historical genealogy and the genetic genealogy. All of that is incorporated into what we are able to do now, but what we'll be able to distribute to the nationals. Both of them opportunities to learn, and both of them opportunities to become an entrepreneur in those particular fields. So if you see, what we do is we create something new, which y'all could do too. I mean, it's not limited, but as headquarters, we create something new, we create a certification for it so that you can provide for yourself. And usually now information is cutting edge, so that's what you call niche marketing. Niche marketing is when you have the ability to do stuff that other groups of people can't do, or only small amounts of people can do. So you become the demand, and all you need is the supply. And you have both. So there's no excuse, because I'm gonna get to the tax stuff later. There's no excuse for people not to gradually become entrepreneurs in ARNA. There are ways and methods for you to walk yourself into it. All right, cancellation of birth certificate. We went over this the other day. Cancellation of birth certificate. This document cancels any trustee signatures made on your behalf as an infant to make any inference that you are or may be an artificial person, 14th Amendment citizen, or any type of legal fiction. Any assets gained from any such process are claimed by you, and if identified, will be gained as reparative relief based on international human rights law. Notarize and send this document to Vital Statistics. So this document is a document that a jurist will give you, printed out with your name, proper old names, indigenous name on it, and you will take this document, get it notarized, and send a copy to the Vital Statistics in the county that you were born in. It is a notice of everything I just said in that summary, because that's what they use the birth certificate to do. If a birth certificate didn't have all of those things attached to it, there wouldn't be anything wrong with it. It's just a document. But because they use it for human capital, because they use it for 30-year bonds and securities, because they're calculating that by the age of 18, you're going to start working, or after you get out of college, and now you are a future investment because you're going to get taxed, you're going to pay taxes, you're going to do all of the stuff that regular legal fictions do. They literally hedge on you being a slave. That's how the whole system runs. This is why all this stuff is disrupting, because they know we figured it out. They know they can't keep running the same game. So now they got to come with COVID, World War III, all of this, just because you're waking up. And I don't care what nobody tell you. The only reason these things are happening is because you're waking up. That's it. There's no real beef with Russia. Russia been there. There is no threat. The only threat here in America is the right Republicans who are mad that the liberals stole their republic, and the Aboriginals who are here who don't know they're Aboriginal, who are gradually learning that they're Aboriginal and waking up. Besides that, there is no threat. And so everything is about diverting attention away from those two factors. And stealing money, of course, from other people in other lands, because they do that too, right? Aboriginal trust and trust agreement in full. Now, why do you have two of these? Okay, and all three of these documents are meaningful and go together right here. EIN, trust agreement, and Aboriginal trust in summary. When you come in as an honor national, the jurist is supposed to form a business for you. Right? They give you an EIN number, and these right here are the articles in summary of your trust. Because you're not going to give anybody this document. You are the owner of the original trust, 10-page document, and that's it. You are the custodian and the owner. The only thing the honor can be is a trustee to come in to help you defend your property if it's been infringed upon. That's why we put ourselves as the trustee. You are the owner of the documents. You're the owner of the property. You're the custodian of it. We don't even keep a copy of it. You keep the original. You can make copies, and we can always reproduce the document and reseal it if we have to. But the EIN is given and the summary of the trust is given because when you come in and open that business, they want to see that document. And that is how you open up your account. That is literally all the documents. That is literally the entire fundamental process for coming into ARNA. There are other things that people, we're going to go into, in a minute, that people deal with: tax exemption, employment taxes, attempts to do all of that. Yeah, but this is the start that lays the proper base. So when you start to do all of that other stuff, everything is in place. And it's not difficult. And it doesn't take a long time. So if jurists are taking months and months and months to get you documents with this little bit of stuff that they can do all in under an hour. All of it. All of this can be done in under an hour, including getting the EIN, putting the seals on the documents, printing them out, and putting the proper stuff in. All this can be done in an hour per person. A jurist could do 15 of these in one day, every day if they wanted to. Or more, depending on staff and other people that they get around them to help them carry those particular thing out. So the thing that we want to do is we want to keep this process solid, because I'm telling y'all, even if you don't really, you're not aware of it, there's nothing amongst our people anymore. They have nowhere to go. Literally. You're not going to the Nation of Islam. That's over. It's done. It's spooky. It's crazy. People going to spaceships. It's turning into what Dr. York became. Pan-Africanism is done. They stole all their money, never made no schools. Even if they would have, it still would have been 14th Amendment citizens. and run into the same problems that the Panthers and all the other people ran into when they started to. Actually, the Panthers were way more advanced at understanding the law than most of these people way back then. So you know what our people do? They drift off into metaphysics and spirituality. That comes around every 5 years as a new thing. Or they bring back the sovereign citizen thing, and that's, our people don't have nowhere to go. They're either going to stay slaves and get more and more assets taken from them from the machine, or they're going to come over into their status. So we being here, having more history than any of these other newbies who coming around, who don't know what they're doing, we're in a perfect position to protect ourselves, to build up our families, to build up our jurisdiction. It's literally that simple. You can't lose. The only way you can lose is by defeating yourself. We literally cannot lose. And as we live and we watch, we're going to see more and more, we can't lose. This is a fight we can't lose. The only thing we can do as individuals is cut ourselves out from our own blessings, because you and I, all of us, were born here at this time to deal with this particular situation. That's why we're here, amongst other things, but that's why we're here. All right, so let me open up some other files so you can actually see these documents, because I know you're familiar with them, but I want you to take a look at them, each one. And I'm going to show you that every national has the same thing. The same thing. All right, so let me just share my screen. Let's see if I can share my screen. Hopefully it doesn't do this little weird thing. Okay, wait. All right, so I just opened up those two documents. So let me open up the cancellation of birth certificate. Are y'all able to see that? Y'all can see it? Okay, great. All right, so you can see, I'm not going to read the whole document, but it's summary. This is what it looks like, so you're familiar with it. Your indigenous name and your birth name go in various places. And this gets mailed to the vital statistics in the county and the state that you were born in. You are to send it certified mail return receipt, so you have proof that they received it after you get it notarized. So how does this step look? Notarize the document, make a copy, send it off certified mail return receipt to the outside party. You are literally done. All you have to do is keep that proof of mailing. You don't have to do anything extra. And the document is very basic and speaks for itself. Everything that I summarized about nobody becoming a trustee, nobody trying to use your identity to make you human capital, all of that is in this document. And so you'll be initialing each page. You see an initial place at the bottom. Initials, and then you would get this notarized. Keep your original copy in a safe place, safe deposit box, safe at home, whatever it is, and you're good. All right. Go back. All right. Certificate of nationality. Here we go. Really simple. Jurors to put your name in there, date of birth, region that you're in, place your name in these particular places. All the laws that it's based on, international, ARNA, their laws. This document is sealed by the jurors and provided to you, and all you have to do is sign where it says all rights reserved. And store this in a safe place. Literally, that's all you have to do. All right, so another simple document. Let's keep going through them. This is the tribal document. Tribal Citizenship Declaration. What are we doing with this document? We are getting this document notarized in the jurisdiction of the United States of America. That's it. It's simple. Once you get this document notarized, keep it in a safe place. Why? Because it can become evidentiary in the future. All right. Let's go to the name correction. All right. This is our tribal court ordered name correction that we do inside of ARNA. This is, you must do this before you do a name correction in their jurisdiction. You will sign the old name and the new name, and this will be sealed by your jurors. This document is sealed by your jurors. After it's sealed by your jurors, you have it as proof. When you go in and to their courts in the county and fill out their form to do the name change, most counties require you to fill out a separate form and put it in that local newspaper, pay the little fee, like $18 or something like that. And this is your exhibit, because they always ask you, why are you changing your name? Because of my Aboriginal American status. Blah. This is the evidence of it, sealed by us. In case anything ever comes up, who had the authority, priority, and precedence to do a name correction? It was your government. That's it. This is the cover page for the genealogy. Just solely and just sanguineous. What is just sanguineous? Bloodlines. What is just solely? Rights to the soil. Your rights to the soil didn't expire. It can't expire until you let it expire. And as soon as you're aware, you can come back. So this document is sealed by your jurors and provided to you. And it's the second document with more detailed information on the genealogy and just solely, mentioning the treaties that apply, etc. Some of these documents are kind of over. Let me grab them. Various treaties that would apply, various international conventions, everything that applies to Aboriginals and Moors, period. This document is sealed by your jurors, and you are to sign this particular document. All right. You have a cover page for your trust. Now, this must be explained. I went over it a little bit with the cancellation of birth certificate. This is the cover page. Date, type of document, trust, etc. But you'll notice I have all these routing numbers here, right? In the event, in the future, that we decide to have enough numbers to do a group claim, these routing numbers are the numbers that apply to you personally. These routing numbers are attached to QSIP numbers. They're attached to the numbers on the back of your Social Security card. They're attached to your Social Security number. They're attached to you being pledged as human capital on documents without your consent. When you deal with reparative action, they asking you where the money is. You are the money. So what has happened in the United States of America is the only reason why the Federal Reserve cannot be audited by the United States of America is because they are a private company and they made the whole nation a private operating system. And they own it and they run it. And when we went over the Savior's Day address, we told you exactly what corporations are there. The top one, Vanguard, you don't even know who's a part of it because they do not list their employers, members, etc. Quiet. And they got their hands in everything around you. But we already know who they are. There's no guessing. So they figured out a way to steal from 300 million people. I want you to think about that. And people get up every day and they don't know what none of this stuff is. And so education is the only gap between people understanding what's going on and taking back what's theirs and not. And so guess what? You're at the real Vanguard, you are at the top of the information. Let me give you an idea of how this works, just for your historical context, because you're going to live to see this. The white people who are at the top of the information, who are getting it from the Aboriginals and the Moors, their families run America. So I already gave you your prophecy. Your families will run whatever is here when we're gone. It's no way you can't get around it. The people who come in straggling last, trying to get in, trying to figure out what's going on after stuff, they're going to be just like the white folks who are under these other people. That's the Fendi fact. So you being here, structuring your family, structuring your businesses, structuring your economy, structuring your code, you will be light years ahead of the people who looking at it, throwing their nose up, thinking that they cool out here being slaves to another people. I'm pretty sure that the white folks who were British subjects, who were looking at the Sons of St. Liberty and all the other white people who were revolting, were laughing at them at their time. Now their families are poor white trash or middle-class people struggling to make it who don't know what's going on because they didn't make the chess move early in the game to say, look, I know what's going on. We are going to comfortably and intelligently put ourselves in position. And it's literally that simple. So those routing numbers are numbers that if we ever get to that point and we start going kamikaze on these motherfuckers, let's go. Or not kamikaze, it will be structured and it won't be anything. It'll be a claim. And let me tell you how the claim works so you understand this. All of those documents with your names on them, where are they? They're not even a matter of public record per se. They're a matter of private companies having interest in them, and they're not putting them on the county record. They're not putting them on state record. You can find them in certain places. But those securities, those exchanges, those bonds are owned by private companies and they're holding them. So if we were to take these instruments, make public claims on them in our jurisdiction and their jurisdiction. Now the documents have become public. I'm gonna give you a picture of how this works, because when we were learning this information a long time ago, we just didn't have all the facts. But there were people who were doing things, and some of us knew not to do these things. We knew how to do them, but we didn't do them. So there were people who got hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars, and they got locked up because they were willing to take action without study. So they were claiming assets that they found and monetizing those assets through their banks. And after a little while, the Secret Service or the IRS came right up to them and said, hey, we just found out that you did so and so and so and so and so. You need to return that money. And they gave it back and they got indicted. So if you ever hear stories about treasury accounts, the Bureau of Public Debt, how to discharge certain debts, all this stuff is stuff, trust me, we've been through it, all of it. We know the ins and outs of it in detail. What happens to people in ARNA is they find out that stuff, then they try to go after it, then they run into all kinds of problems. What we're saying is, if we ever go after it, it will be an organized, efficient effort. Another example, we drafted a simulation for a case in an international tribunal, Organization of American States Tribunal. We didn't file it, but let's say we file something in the international court that the United States is a part of, and we win. It will be as simple as being debt collectors collecting a judgment. And wherever the assets are at, we can go collect them. But that's the methodology that is used appropriately. So you secure yourself, you protect yourself, and you don't become a kamikaze sovereign citizen person who's just running around and, you know, doing whatever they're doing. All right, and of course, y'all have seen trust agreement. Most of you have it. All right, this puts your birth name and your national name into it, and it discusses in summary all of the property that you own. All of it. Anything that you own. And now what you can do in respect to your trust, let's say you own some land and you have the deed and you have it under your tribal trust or business, the name of it registered on file. You can do an affidavit and add that as an addendum to this trust. So it states about land, but you can add that as an item. You can add anything that you own as an item through documentary evidence to this trust, right? Trustor is the old you, trustee, beneficiary, the beneficiary trustee is you, and this is a jurist who signs on behalf of one. All right, that's everything. We went through, this is just national info. When people want to contact, they know what websites and stuff to have, what the mailing location is here, all of that. Those are literally your documents in summary. So we do not have a crazy complex process. Our processes are simple, to the point. All the jurists have them, and all of them should be able to execute them in a simple fashion. When you get nationalized, you get your nationality card and tax exempt card. We're about to go into tax exemption in a minute. So that is it. And we will come to questions, because I know you will have questions, but I want to jump over to the next part, which deals with types of businesses and move into the tax exemption, because that's going to help us. All right. So let me go back to the screen share. All right. So you see, I have all these folders. These folders are the same things that these other folk have. And we have these different types of businesses that you can register in ORENTA. We have trusts. We have community organizations or 501(d)s. We have partnerships. We have LLC, that's a standard LLC, and tax exempt LLC. We have a holding company. We have what can be considered a sole proprietorship and an unincorporated association, working in conjunction. And then we detail those things. It's real simple. So these are the types of entities that we have. Now, how we structure this stuff is going to change dramatically over the next month, because you will be able to automate, take your tests and exams automated just through a link. You'll be able to do a whole bunch of stuff just automated. All right. So you see the types of entities that we do. Really simple, right? So let's say you become an indigenous doctor, a jurist, cosmologist, economic specialist, or you're in the ministry in arts and culture. You work with other people who are under these ministries who might be heading them. You need to form any one of these types of businesses so that you can interface with banks and society. These are your entrepreneurial things that you use to accumulate money. You already will have a tax exempt EIN number, a business master file that's in the IRS system as a tax exempt tribal entity, your own articles, and a trade name or fictitious business name so you can interface with banks. They usually want a document. We don't do our registrations with the Secretary of State unless we're doing an LLC, a standard LLC. So we do a trade name registration in your county. They're usually like $10, $20, $25, whatever. And you take that document with your articles, your EIN, and your business master file, and your ID, and you can open up your bank accounts. That simple. That easy. All right. And we want everybody to work to gradually, intelligently work your way to entrepreneurialism. Why? It solves the big question that everybody has about work and tax exemption. I have repeated this over and over and over and over again. And I'm going to use somebody's live W-9. This person is no longer in ORENTA, but I'll use their live W-9. This is a defunct business, so I'm not showing anybody's documents. All right, this was Najee's documents, but this is the W-9. What happens on the W-9? You put your business, your name, your address and your EIN number, and somebody can pay you. They can pay you. You keep a copy of the W-9, but you give this to them so that they can report that they paid you to the IRS. When the IRS runs the EIN number and runs the data for the information for the company, it's tax exempt. Period. Never having to change anything, never having to update anything, never having to do anything. It's just accept your money and keep it going. 100% labor tax exemption comes because you are in the tribe and you are entrepreneur. 100%, no questions. Example, let's say you want to do a mortgage and you need to file taxes for a year or two to do that because you're moving to a house. When you do a mortgage, you have to show them receipts of interfacing and you tax yourself. So I've had this situation, and this is simply what I did. I took one of my companies and paid myself a salary, $40,000, $50,000 a year. One was 40, one was 50. I used a 1099 from the company to me in my personal status. Once I have that 1099, I can go file taxes that year on that income. Problem solved. You can choose to do that or never do that. That is up to you. But that is specifically in the sense of what I'm speaking about when it comes to mortgages. That's simple. Now, let's go over the other attempts. If you're on a job, you are not guaranteed the right to tax exemption. Why? Because you work for a company that is in the jurisdiction of the state and the United States. They have to allow for that to happen. Some people do it, some people aren't able to do it because the job is like, no. You are, as an employee, without being, demeaning, you're a slave. And everybody got to work. So ain't nobody putting nobody down for going to work for themselves and their family. Everybody got to work. And everybody has to learn entrepreneurialism. It takes time. It takes coordination with other people. You have to learn the science of advertising, how to be present, how to make this thing consistent, how to operate it. That takes time. That takes interfacing with other people who can train you and do those things. However, actually, let's start with this. I'm going to start with the I-9 form. If you're going to attempt to do this, you need to understand this form. All right. The I-9 form is the form that human resource is filling out when you give them your ID. If you want to be on a job and be tax exempt, you need to use your indigenous ID as the means of communication to the job. That's point number one. And I'm going to detail why. You have to start there. All right, let's read. If you're updating and re-verifying, you use your license the last time. If you're re-verifying the I-9 form and updating them, you need to take your indigenous ID in to re-verify. Employees must complete Section 3 when updating and or re-verifying Form I-9. Employers must re-verify employment, authorize, hold on, this train is kind of off. Authorization of their employees on or before the work authorization expiration date, all right? And that's recorded in Section 1. But basically, I'm getting to this part. This is the part that I wanted to get to, right? Employees cannot specify which documents they will accept from an employee. If you come in with your tribal documents and you want to work and y'all went through everything or whatever, and you pull your identifications out and they say, oh no, we don't accept that. As you go through, you're going to see that that is discrimination. All right. And that's the purpose of this particular form anyway. All right. Anti-discrimination notice. Let's make this bigger, so everybody can see it. What is the purpose of this form? It is illegal to discriminate against any individual other than an alien or not authorized to work in the United States in hiring, discharging, or recruiting or referring for a fee because of that individual's what? National origin or citizenship status. It is illegal to discriminate against work authorized individuals. Employees cannot specify which documents they will accept from an employee. The refusal to hire an individual because the documents presented have a future expiration date may also constitute illegal discrimination. The purpose of the form. Let's keep going through the form. Before we even go through the contents, let's go through the form. All the way to documents that establish both identity and employment authorization. Identity and authorization, right? Native American tribal document. That's your ID or your document that identifies you. Same here. So they even put it on the form, clear. You know what happens to our people in these situations? Now, I'm going to rephrase. As an employee, you are a servant and a slave to that particular job. However, when you bring your indigenous documents in, the number one problem they have is, nigga, how the fuck you learn this and how come I don't know it? Who do you think you are? It has nothing to do with the law. It has nothing to do with what's written down. It ain't got nothing to do with nothing. It is racism practiced by our people or other people. It got nothing to do with what's written down. Because what's written down here is clear. I've been teaching this stuff so long, I can do this from memory sitting in front of somebody in human resource. I can tell them where to look, on what page. Yeah. Because studying the law is simple. The problem is, are we aware? That is the problem. Because you can sue for discrimination. But what they're going to tell you is, oh, no, we're not discriminating. If your argument is not tight, if your presentation is not tight, if you don't know what to do. If you go in there with your driver's license for your job, and then you start talking about your native status, you in there with a state of Pennsylvania, state of Maryland, state of whatever document, you haven't presented yourself as your original self, your lawful self, even if you have a driver's license. You're not going to put it out in front of them. You're going to pull out what is meaningful in the contract that you're about to make, because contract law precedes everything. What you bring to the table is the standard. Sometimes you'll hear judges say, you can't come in here talking about your constitutional rights in respect to this contract. We're going to discuss the contract because you signed the contract, which is the primary evidence of why we are here. It's the precedence of why we are here. In limited instances, you can bring up outside law, sometimes by adhesion, sometimes by some form of severe breach of your rights. But this is pretty simple. All right. This is not a complex thing. All right. So they'll update and re-verify if they have to. If you're already on the job, they have a section, updating and re-verification. Why are you doing update and re-verification? There might be changes. Somebody's status might have changed. Something might have changed at the job. We need to update and re-verify. Great. We're going to update and re-verify and put our right information down on this I-9 form. All right. So let me come down, put this down, and then come to the other documents. Now, this is where it gets tricky. A W-4 form is a voluntary form. This is a voluntary form. All right. This form is the form that you would place yourself as exempt if you are an employee. Read the form, is very simple. It says employees, possessive, withholding, that's withholding, allowance certificate. So the employee is allowing for the withholding through this certificate if they're not claiming exempt. So that's you are volunteering the withholding as the employee submitting the certificate. Now, if you put exempt and your job pushes it through, you're good. If they don't take out taxes, you're good. You have an evidentiary form that you placed exempt that nobody rebutted. That is a contract. That's very simple. If your job says, no, we're not doing that, you got a decision to make. And now you have to kick in more intelligence, because now you got to decide, damn, if I need the job to protect myself and my family, do I feel like going back and forth with them over the exemption? Maybe that's not a good idea, because if you don't get the job, you won't be able to get the finances to build yourself up for what you need. Sometimes you have to use a higher strategy. Pay the taxes. I'm only going to be here a year or two. Cool. Pay the taxes. If the job doesn't allow you, then work on your plan to be a real free woman and free man. That's literally the simplicity of this. And I've been teaching this the same way for year after year after year. The jurists ought to be tired of hearing me saying the same thing. The ones who don't do what we're saying ain't got nothing to do with what we present to them in class over and over and over and over again. We have the manuals. We have the manuals for everything that they use. Same thing over and over again. I can go to the sections in here and show you. Anti-discrimination notice. This is from the I-9 form. They get the same data. Form 56, they get the same data. W-9, they get the same data for you to work with. W-4, they get the same data. Highlighted and underlined for them. They get the same data. And if any jurist is confused about anything going on in ARNA, you see me right there. That is not my pen circling it. That is circled in the print. So there's no jurist who can come to me and say, I don't know how to deal with. I don't know how to deal with. They can't say, we don't know how to deal with passport stuff. It's in their book. It's all in here. This is even before they take an exam, before, all in here. Been in here. Right? So what we're saying about tax exemption is this. If Indigenous of the North or any other jurist came to you and said, oh, you want to be tax exempt? And they didn't walk you through that, that's where you have your problem at. So now you can review this video and say, no, Ali, they didn't give me this, they didn't tell me this, they didn't tell me this, they didn't tell me this. So when we come to you individually, we will be able to help you. We'll say, okay, you got your stuff. Now tell us what happened. Boom. Now we can solve the problem quickly. If it's an IRS issue now or some type of other issue, state issue, whatever, we can address the issue. If you fill out a W-4 properly and the job put it through and the IRS comes back later and says, hey, we have a problem with this document. Oh, okay. You got a problem with this document. Are you saying you're canceling the document? Cool. If you want to cancel it, that's between the IRS and that job. But everything that happened up until that point, I am exempt because there was no rebuttal. There was no communication. There was no, this W-4 is not filled out properly. There was no rejection. It's simple contract law. And this is how we beat simple IRS cases. Now, if you didn't file and put exempt, you didn't do any of those things, you're dealing with another type of problem. So what you need is a jurist who will give you the structure so that you can be tax exempt, and then go back and look at whatever accusations this entity is making and then formulate a proper response. If a proper response is available, because in some instances, people have messed up their stuff so much, there is no formal. They're going to have to sit there and get some type of other advice. Okay, you need to sit down and make a deal with these people so you can pay this off. And then from the time that you get this paid off, moving on to the future, you will have no problem. That's how you solve a problem. You don't solve a problem by trying to create some weird loophole that doesn't exist. You solve a problem because the answers are already there. What this country has done is kept information from people, not that the information is not present. If it wasn't present, I couldn't have written all these books. It's physically around you and it's in books. To write this book, I paid probably $10,000 to get the types of books that I need from the Smithsonian and other places just to write the book. So my point is the information is there. It is there. We just have to figure out, okay, how are we going to use it? What are we going to use it for? Now, the next issue is even simpler. More simple, excuse me. Simpler is not a word, is it? More simple. It's more simple. Sales tax. Everybody gets a tax exempt ID. If you didn't get a tax exempt ID, we can get you one. The purpose of the tax exempt ID is to do this. Walk into a store and say, I'm tax exempt. Do you have a form for tax exemption? That's one way. Yeah, sure. Can I see your ID? Great. Bow. Fill out the form and copy the ID. Exemption done. If you're not going to do that, part two. Every state in the United States of America has a single purpose exemption. Every state. You can go in California. You can go in state of Georgia. Single purchase tax exemption form. Or you can go to the Department of Revenue. You can Google it. Single purchase tax exempt form. It is for you to go in any store, fill out the information on that particular form with your indigenous information and say you're exempt. And when you do it, you have two ways to do it. You can say, I am federally exempt by law, or I have a tax exempt business, which you have from Arnold. Either way, those are the two primary ways to deal with it. So you got going into the store to get the form, printing the form out and taking it in with you for the purchase. Third way, simple. Every state revenue department has a tax exempt sales tax form where they will give you a sales tax exempt number. You can fill that form out with your business and get the number. Those are the three ways. You can use any one of those three ways to make purchases of any type to get sales tax exemption on different things. Now, when you start doing things like homes, when you're going through the mortgage, you're not going to evade those little taxes and fees. You can try, but you might abruptly stop your process. Where you want to be exempt on the home is when you turn the home over to your trust and you apply for exemption on the local level. You will need a jurist to do that if you've never done it before. But it's a simple process. You take your trust, you apply for the exemption. It's an annual exemption on your property. Every year, you got to go back between October and December to renew it. That's it. And your sale, there's no taxes on your property. That's what people are trying to call a allodial title. Or primary title. Primary title is to cut away the county from treating you like a subject. And once you have it under your indigenous land, you go do what you need to do on it. So some of these processes, as you get further with exemption, you might want exemption on a car. You're gonna need a jurist to help you with that. Those processes take a little bit more detail. And if you get some pushback or resistance, then the person needs to know what to do. But all of these things are available. Now, when you put yourself in a position with the nationality properly, you're good. The one thing we didn't mention about nationality is the UCC document. We said years ago, and that's why it's not on the form, it's not necessary anymore. One of the reasons why we filed a UCC document and put that information in there was to secure the trust. But we still cannot access the funds. So we stopped doing it until we get to a point where if we want to access the funds and we get the data and we're doing some type of reparative action, we can put that data on there. Then the UCC becomes a notice of the security agreement that we would put on record. We don't need to do a UCC. There's no reason to do a UCC. You already have your trust. You don't need to put a notice of the trust on it because we're not coming after the assets. And that is something from the beginning that we were doing where we were attempting to come after assets. We stopped doing that because we have to do it as a group. We cannot have individuals trying to collect assets from these entities. So when we're looking at a nationality process, the idea is very simple. Do your nationality, get yourself grounded, get your name exhibited on all your documentation through that first process. Get your first business open. Now, learn how to work your tax exemption and your entrepreneurship. 100%, you'll never have an issue. If you're going to try it on the job, you have to follow those basic instructions. Now that you know that, all right, we're going to set it up so that you will be able to literally click these documents on the main website and populate your information into it and print it out so that you won't even have to go to a jurist for passport or attempts for tax exemption on your job. If it's accepted, cool. If it's not, we laid it out to you. It's not 100% effective method for tax exemption. Full tax exemption is for free people. If you're working on a job, you're not totally free yet. You have to put your plan together to get free. We are not putting down working. Everybody got to work somewhere. But we are just telling you that when you work as an entrepreneur, you're working for a tribal business, doing tribal things, and no one can step in and say, we want your money. They can't step in and say it. We've been living it. So all we need to know is this video, which is a study video. And then as we, update the processes on the website so you can get access to things, we'll do that. The reason why we're updating them is because we put hands in the things of some jurors who are not handling them appropriately. So the easy way to get rid of all that is to make it accessible through technology. That way you won't have any questions about the efficiency of it. It's coming from headquarters. If we got questions about it, we're on here every week, some type of way. Somebody can come in, ask their questions. Okay, clear. All right, so I'm gonna open the floor up and you can unmute your mic because we can do Q&A now on anything that I've said so far. If I missed something, we can go over it. Whatever we need to highlight or touch on, we can go over it.
Hi, Chief Allie, Natalie, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
Fantastic. Thanks for the presentation. It was fantastic. I have a few questions, but the documents I have, I signed up for ARNA back in 2017. So on my ID card here, I still have the old address.
Okay.
And also on the irrevocable trust agreement, the custodian of record, I still have the Philly address. What do you
recommend? No problem. We still have that particular address, but it's not going to affect you in any way. When it's time for an update, you can get the new address put on it, but
okay,
you won't be well affected by it anyway.
Great. And this may seem like a silly question. The trust, I have a Natalie Wise trust. Is it profit? Are we profit or nonprofit when we do these, set up these EINs? So somewhere I'm like not clear on something.
You could be for profit or nonprofit, but all of them should be tax exempt except for standard LLC. So it doesn't matter whether we're for profit or not profit, unless it's needed for some type of business engagement, because you can set up several not for profits, one nonprofit, and use them for your own utility. But they are all exempt except for a standard LLC.
Okay, great. The other question I had was, my IDs. This is the only ID I got. I should have gotten another one, right?
I think you mentioned that about the tax exemption, right?
Yes. So this is the only thing I got. Yeah.
So we're going to have to, I already wrote your name down that first day. When we come back and revisit that, we'll be able to give you your tax exempt ID. Probably take maybe about 2 weeks to get everything organized with all these people and get the stuff shipping out, but
Is that a picture ID also?
yes, it's a picture.
Okay. And you still have this is from back 2007, you still have to.
Yeah, we have your photo, unless you want to update a photo or whatever, you can, send a new photo, but we have all of that information on record.
Okay. And, well, I'll ask that another time, because I was about the name change, about canceling the birth certificate, because my birth certificate is actually from the UK, because my father was in the military, he was stationed there. So I don't know, I'm not ready to do that. So I guess that's future. I don't know how that would work about sending a notice of canceling the birth certificate if it's
You don't
my.
need,
I don't need to?
you don't even need to. It's in another country.
Ah, okay, got you. Okay, great.
The only time you would need to do that is if you ever took up residence in the UK for some particular reason and you wanted to do that just to secure yourself, you would, find that particular place and send that notice into them. But the fact that you're here, you don't even need it.
Oh, that's good to know. And the last thing, were you able to find anyone that I could work with to getting the Chapter 7 removed?
Not yet, not at all. But I will find someone, and I want to give you someone who can do it efficiently. I don't want to give you someone who's going to give you the runaround or a problem. I'm going through some updates with the jurists to make sure that they're proficient at some of these things, or all, because some of them are already proficient, but they're proficient. So yeah, let me do some quick tests on some folk before I send somebody away, because I don't want no problem when they come and handle your business.
Yes. And one last question. I spoke to another jurist recently. He said that we're not doing trust anymore. We have trust accounts, but he says now it's going to be estates accounts. What is that all about?
I don't know. Somebody gave you inaccurate information.
So there is no estates instead of trust.
You have an estate because your trust is a reflection of your estate.
Okay.
So,
but there's no name when we set up the business accounts for unincorporated. It's not going to have Natalie Wise Estate, because someone was telling me the fact that we have, because my bank account is Natalie Wise Trust, and I was told there were issues because trust was part of the name of the business.
If there's an issue because trust is a part of the name of the entity, all you need is the articles that I just went over, summary articles. And you can get those notarized and do a fictitious name registration for it if you never did.
Okay. Oh, so I did that. So I don't. So someone's giving.
You don't have to do anything else.
Oh, someone gave me wrong information on that.
Yeah, that's inaccurate information.
So estates aren't replacing trust as part of a name on a business.
No, I have had no communication with the jurors on that at all. And not in writing, not on video.
Yeah, that's weird. Two different people told me that. I'm glad to hear that. So that's off my list. Thank you so much, Chief Ali. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Hi, Chief. It's April.
Hey, April.
Hey, so hubby and I, so we have before we came into Honor, we had 2 businesses, and then we also had a nonprofit that we just got our federal ID and everything, but we were going to use it on this side, contracted on this side, because we can get grants and things like that from the federal government.
Get rents? You said rents?
Get grant money.
Grants, gotcha.
Yeah. Yep. So we can get grant money for that. And so with that, we'll be purchasing properties. So will we still have to do taxes just because they're going to want to see tax information?
Yeah, well, if you have a nonprofit that's certified by the federal government, you have to do that particular form. What is it called? I-9, what is it? Whatever the form is every year. You don't pay taxes on it, but you have to.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
990.
the 990 in, yeah.
990. Yep. 990.
Okay, so, okay.
For the
So
other entities, if you wanted to make them indigenous, we can get you new EINs, same articles pretty much, unless there's some adjustment need to be made. We can bring those over, but for the nonprofit, I would recommend you keep it as it is.
Okay, so I think that you may need to get us with a jurist to go over that, like you said earlier, just to make sure we have everything aligned up properly. Because we did get an EIN for both of those businesses in Indigenous. So they're already under ARNA.
Okay,
But we just not knowing that we are operating it properly and just wanting to know, like, tax wise, we just want to know that we're doing everything properly. So
yeah,
if you can get us with somebody, that would be perfect.
absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you.
Hello, Chief.
Echo,
Sorry.
you might have the screen going or something at the same time.
Okay. I have a question about, I work for a nonprofit company. Is there still echo?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I worked for a nonprofit company in 2021 for about 8 months. And after I nationalized, I submitted the I-9 form and updated my tax withholding to tax exempt. They didn't have a problem with that, they accepted that. And for 3 months of my 8 months, I wasn't paying taxes on my income. So when I quit my job, I'm now getting my W-2s. And it's showing my total income. And I'm trying to find out right now how to file my taxes because am I now, how do I properly file my taxes if I am now tax exempt?
You have to file
And
taxes on the work that you had when you were not tax exempt.
even if they gave me a W-2 with the total amount of my income, how do I separate what was and what was not
You
taxed?
can't separate it because what happens is a W-2, or excuse me, the W-2 is an extension of a W-4. So when they updated you in the middle of the year, that created a whole conflict of interest. What should have happened was that whole year that you worked should have been paid, and then the update should have came after the renewal period, because they're not going to divvy up that into something, you know.
Right.
That's literally
Right.
on their end, that's literally impossible.
Mhm.
So if you were still working there, you could deal with your taxes for that year, and then from then on, you're exempt, so you never have to do it. So they're not gonna, you're not gonna be
Okay.
responsible for it because you did it in the middle of the year. That's you can't. Well, you can do it, but you're gonna have to be responsible for the entire amount.
Even if they withheld taxes.
Yeah, well, they withhold taxes on anybody's check as a form of, that's what they do, Are you saying in what way are you saying they withheld it? Unlawfully somewhere? You still there? All right, she gotta come back. Maybe she went out. I'll wait on her to come back.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Once I was nationalized, they stopped taking taxes, is what I'm saying. And then I quit. And so now I'm getting my W-2s and I'm seeing that, the whole lump sum is there. But I paid taxes on most of it. It's just I didn't pay taxes on the last 3 months, me working there. So I was just trying to figure out how to do my taxes properly. And the other issue I'm having is that on my W-2s, they have my Indigenous name because I had updated my name when I had nationalized, but my W-2s are coming back. But my other documents like my retirement and some health forms, all those are in my old name. So when I'm doing my taxes, I have two names, with those items.
Yeah, those are in your own name because you never went to those distinct entities to update your name. So, health insurance is a different thing than the human resource for your job. So whenever you're updating your name, pensions, 401ks, you have to go take that name and update it in those places because they won't human resources is not going to do that for you unless they do it as a service for your job. But what I'm trying to say about taxes is when you go on a job and you do a W-4, it is an annual contract. You do the
Okay.
W-4, it lasts a year. If you're not going to do it again, it expires. If you're going to do it again, then you do it for a second year. So if you come in the middle of the year and say, I'm tax exempt, you're still bound to that contract for a year because it is a contract.
Got you. Thank you for that. And as far as me not having my names updated on those other documents, should I do that prior to doing my taxes? Is there some
It's
time
not going to create a
frame?
conflict of interest. It's not going to create a conflict of interest because you have evidence of the name correction. So, you know, nobody can say
Yes, I have.
you weren't this person and, you know, you're not this person. No, I can show you, yeah, I had that name. That's the name I was born with. And I made a name correction. And this is, you know, the legal proof of it, you know, so nobody can argue with that. They can't rebut it. If they tried, you know, you would win.
Okay, so I'll just, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Chief. This is Sabrina Henderson. I just have a question as well, similar to the other two people that spoke. The first question I have, when I signed up with Indigenous of the North, they told me the forms to complete to become tax exempt, which I did, but I still had my social security number being used. My job did tax exempt me. However, it's still under the social security. And I was informed then that when I do file, I can file and mail it in and submit a form 56 along with it, or also submit, things he told me also a 990 EZ as well, with the to the IRS. And I want to know if that is true or not, or do I just have to file and pay because they did put it under the social security number?
Okay, yeah, you're working on a job, so they're going to keep the social security number there. Was your social security card in your Indigenous name?
The original one, no, but I had to get it updated with my Indigenous name. But that was done this year.
Okay, so it wasn't done for the year of the working. All right.
No.
All right. So now Form 56 is not a replacement for filing taxes on a W-2. Form 56 is just a notice of a change in tax fiduciary. We put in the tribe on that. So that's just to be done anyway, you know, in respect. It's not a replacement for the filing. I have no idea why they told you to file a 990 EZ because that has nothing to do with what we deal with at all. So did your job take taxes out of your check?
They stopped the federal and the state. They still took out Medicare and Social Security, which I was okay with that.
Right.
But now because I have to file, because I know it's under my social and I got the W-2 forms back, I wasn't sure, you know, because I want to do electronic, do I file? Because they might have me pay because it's under my social. So I want to know, is there a different way I can let them know that I'm tribal, and what else I should submit?
Yeah, no, no, that's all not the way that you want to do it. All right,
Okay.
so it took out federal and state. No, I did not take out federal and state.
Right.
Social Security and Medicare. All right. So you do need to present Form 56 to the IRS properly. And you filing under everybody who files taxes files under their social security number. So what you're going to have to do is just file the taxes regularly to assess what they're going to do. Because in the future, you want to already have the Form 56 filed. Did you ever do a updating or re-verification of an I-9 form?
Yes, I did. I did it a couple of times. The first time they didn't accept it because they wanted my name changed to the court. So it took some time. I did that. So they took, finally, when I gave the change to the court, they didn't take the new name because they wanted the social security number changed as well with my indigenous name. And when I submitted that, then they now just this year changed my name.
Okay, so this is just a case of them. Was there any reason why there was a delay in doing the name change and getting the stuff taken over, or was it just a time factor?
It was like probably a misunderstanding because I submitted everything that they requested. First, they said they wanted to wait for my passport to come back with the name change. I did that. Then they're like, oh no, we need the social security number change. And I didn't do that last year because I was informed by IOTN that no, you don't need to get a new social security number.
Okay, so yeah, so that's where it was. Everything started with IoT, so they were giving you the wrong advice. What you want to do is what we talked about earlier. You have to lay your base right. So before you even do all of these things, you do the name change, you change the, you don't have to change the passport, but you can, and then you do the change on the social security number. Once that's all done, every document will reflect the same name, indigenous name, in those particular places. And once you have that, then that's when you go, okay, I'm going to form 56. I'm going to now stop the taxes from being taken out, so that when I go and fill out form W-2, there's not going to be issue. And if there is an issue, I've done, you've done, in that sense, have done everything right. All right, so if you're following what I'm saying, all of those changes should have been made prior to you even engaging the job for tax exemption. Like those things should have been completed. Follow me?
Right.
So they gave you bad advice.
So going forward now, I would just normally file, because I normally do them my taxes myself. Do I just mail it in with my Form 56 file and let them review it?
No, Form 56 is something separate. So even if you mail them on the same day, you're not mailing them to the same place, and you're not mailing them together. They have something to do with each other, but they don't go together with the tax file. So you can send both of them off, but you're going to have to send Form 56 off just as a separate document to the location that they designate on the form, because they all have a specific place that you designate on the form. When you do your taxes, depending on where you're at, that address will not be the same as where the Form 56 goes. All right. What is your full indigenous name?
Sabrina Leilani Shiamaru Henderson.
Spell Leilani. How do you spell it?
Leilani.
All right, yeah, we're gonna have to give you some help on how to fill out the Form 56 within the next few days, and these taxes. Because you can send both of them off, but they're gonna go to different places.
And just for your information, in California, for my Form 56, they said I mail it to the same address that I would if I were mailing a tax return to. Just want to throw that out there.
Okay. And even if somebody tells you something, always check the form itself, or have a jurist check the form, because
Yes.
people will tell you anything, and then your stuff end up in the wrong place, and it's like, well, this lady told me. These people are not studying civics, they're not studying anything, and we need to check behind them. So always, even if they tell you, check behind them, because whatever is on the form is the contract. And if you send it into that place on the form and a problem develops, you got a screenshot, you got a copy, your form is incorrect. Now I can proceed properly.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Not go by what these ignorant people say.
No, this is actually on the IRS website itself for
Okay, so there, boom. If it's on if you got a trace or a track on it, then that's cool.
Yeah.
But if not, always follow the form, or the guidance that's on the website.
Yeah,
And make sure that they are correct, because the IRS is lazy too. If they have different addresses on the form
yeah, it's
and
crazy.
the,
Yeah.
and the website, that's a conflict of interest. So
Mhm, mhm.
And I do have one more question. It kind of pertains now to the property exemption. I was working with the jurist to get the property exemption. He gave me some forms to complete, which I mailed out back in November. When I
Mhm.
followed up on it, I followed up in January. They never received it, but they cashed the check. So they told me just to resend it. I resent it, and they give me like a big runaround. They're saying, oh, we're not sure what department, who, who did you mail it to? I got a totally different address. The first address was, I forgot, the second one ended up being in Cincinnati, Ohio. So I was wondering, is there anyone in particular that I can speak with that can kind of help me with that matter to find
yeah,
out?
yeah, we'll take a jurist, but what state are you in?
I'm in New York.
And they told you to send the document to Ohio?
Yeah, so the form that I completed for the property tax exemption, one of the jurists helped me to do. I originally mailed it out and I don't have it with me. I mailed it out to a different address, but it was out of the state. And when I called to check up on the, like the status, they're like, oh, we don't have it. They try to send me to the native department, which the
Native department?
jurist,
What
the
native?
Native American, the tribal department. So the jurist I text, he was like, oh no, we do this all the time. Call them back. So then they had me resend my information to Ohio, which I did, and I'm still waiting to see the status. And
All right,
I,
so that's all wrong, because I mean, whatever borough you're in or county you're in the state of New York, that's the borough that deals with exemptions for taxes. Another state cannot do that. So
Hey,
we,
Chief, Cincinnati, Ohio, that's for the federal IRS. That sounded like she was trying to get that determination letter.
yes, yes, yes.
hold on. Determination letter has, it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with filing the property tax exemption. That's two different things. Right?
So
So
that's what,
property tax exemption is when you take a business to a county recorder's office or wherever they have it at in the county, and you say, I want to exempt my property, which is in this county, borough, parish, whatever. That's what you're supposed to do. If you're applying for a tax exempt entity through the federal government, nonprofit, whatever, 501(a)(c)(3), then you can do that. And once you get that information, if that's the entity you want to put as the entity that will be used for the exemption, you can do that. You see what I'm saying? But they're not necessarily always tied together. To make it simple, an entity that you have should already be exempt. If it's not exempt, you can make it exempt in whatever form you want, using our technique or getting clearance from the IRS. After that, your filing for property tax exemption will be in the borough or the county that you're in New York. It has to be submitted to them. So that process wasn't made clear to you.
and I paid $12.50 for that.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk to you private on this so I can figure out
Okay.
what's going on. It won't
Thank
be
you.
tomorrow that I can call you, but I'm gonna need you to just email your phone number to the email you're receiving the Zoom links at. I'll save it, text you my number, and then we'll walk through it so we can try to arrange it. And even if we got to bring your jurist in, we're going to corroborate so we can get it done, but done right.
Okay, thank you.
Peace, Chief.
Peace, family.
Ma'am, I was just curious. Can we build a little bit about like the address changes, or like I got two questions about the address. Like with your business, of course, the address that you might have got your document sent to. Can you change it up? And if so, I guess that would, is that a fee to get that sent in a new address? And how do you go about changing your address to like a suite number? if you will, like, remote areas.
Okay, so are you talking of changing the address on a particular document?
Well, eventually I want to change all of my documents because I already had my name changed. So,
Right.
that really wasn't an issue, but my address for my business, etc., that's what I want to change up eventually.
Oh, okay, I got you. So, you talking about on your EIN form or your articles?
Proof. I mean, does it matter? Is it everything that needs to be changed, or?
The address doesn't only appears on certain things, like it's on your EIN, it's on your articles, it's not on your certificate of nationalities, it's not on your,
Right,
name
right.
change, it's not on those documents, so you don't need to update those.
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
right, so the EIN, if you want, you don't necessarily need an address change for the EIN, you do need it for the articles if you move to another state or another location. But if you want to update the articles, the EIN address, on the bottom of your EIN is a form that you would send into the IRS for a change of address.
All right.
Takes,
I know exactly
you
what you're
can't do
talking
that
about.
automated, you have to do that through mail.
Right. Yeah, I know
I'm
exactly.
telling you, you really don't even need to do it, because as long as your articles reflect the place where you're doing business, let's say your business moved from New York to Virginia. You need to do business articles in Virginia to activate that particular business with the address on it, and you need a trade name registration in your county or whatever municipality which you're in, and then you'll be done. So that's really only one document that you need to make the address change on, which is the business articles. All the other documents don't have them. As far as using a suite, if you have a USPS post office box, the United States Postal Service allows you to use the street address in the suite. Or if you got another, a business location, you can use that as a suite or an address. So that's up to where you want to get your correspondences sent to. If you're using the PO box, you can use the street address, and your PO box can be used as a suite. And that's a UPS service that, that's allowed. I don't know about UPS because I don't use UPS, but anybody who knows about that will have to, elaborate on it. But I've used commercial business locations as receiving, for receiving mail too.
And also, I had another question. Thank you too about that. And I had another question about the with the tax exemption and whatnot. Like, I have the job that I have at the moment, the employment. I did bring those documents, the W-9, et cetera. I do realize that I was able to do this with a different job. It was actually a temp agency I was just kind of working with that allowed me to just like manually fill out the EIN. I mean, not the EIN, but the W-2. And I had also got a K-4 in Kentucky. That's like a tax code. And filled those out, which was simply just my appellation, and my signature at the bottom, and that was it. Kroger, which is where I'm at the moment, they didn't even ask. So they didn't ask to see my ID or anything. My name is changed on everything, all of my documents at this point in my life. Would I need to, I guess, give them my ID to make sure that everything is tax exempt? Because I think, like the sister was saying earlier about Social Security and those things get taken out of mine too, which I do understand some jobs won't do it. But
Yeah, you can update your tribal ID, let them see it, make sure that that information is reflected on it. And if they stop the withholding, they're cool. If they refuse, then you just got to eat it until you get up out of there.
right. And also too, with I would like to give my email. I do want to work with somebody about an insolvency case, Chapter 7. I have watched prior videos on the channel,
Mhm.
and that's just something I want to get a little bit more in depth with to kind of build like some kind of case or plan or however we want to do it, to handle the situation. That's something that's been a very big goal in my, you know, in my entering the tribe as well, because I know that that's going to foundate, you know, like you said earlier, a business for myself. Like people are gonna be like, well, whatever he did, I need some help with that. And that's where I bring that to the tribe, you know?
Right. So you mean you want to learn about the Chapter 7 process, or you need a Chapter 7?
I need a chapter 7, but I also intend to join the
Gotcha.
courses and be a part of too.
Got you. Okay. So we put you down for jurists who can walk you through that.
And my jurist is Brother Kojo, which he's very good at what he does. He's
Right.
giving me everything on key. So but I'm still putting it out there. Like I know that they're kind of flooded with work. So
Right. Yeah.
somebody that's available.
Yeah, I don't know the work volume yet with them, but Kojo is, you know, a jurist in good standing. He's
Mhm.
proficient. So he would be a great person to do the service. If he tells you he can't, then you know we have other people who can do it.
Indeed.
Check with
Okay,
him
and-
first, and then based on what he says, you know, we can point you to another brother or sister.
Okay. You need my email real quick before I get off?
No, yeah, I got you. I got everybody email. I got
All
everybody. I was writing them down the other day because some of the people, you know, the emails weren't matching, but I know, you know, based on people getting on now that, you know, we got the emails right.
Yeah, I have 2 different names with the emails.
Oh yeah. You got the business name in your no
The
business.
Sadiq F. Bay at Gmail. I was just making sure. All right. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir, God. Absolutely.
Chief Ali,
Yes, sir.
how you doing, man?
I'm great, God.
My wife just talked to you a couple minutes ago, April. My name is
Yes,
B. Amara.
Yes, sir.
I was brung in by Indigenous of the North,
Mhm.
and I spent a lot of money, like with my businesses and all that. I want to say I gave City Hall $3,500. I'm about 5,000 in, trying to get tax exempts off my property, my house. I already in the laws. I can show you my receipts and everything. Brother Patton, I love him to death. He advised me a lot, and he helps me now, like they guide me what to do. But man, me and my wife really need to email you because I just been spending money terrible on these business, all this, and what they were advising me to do. And I'm nowhere near got nothing accomplished. Don't know what to do. I paid for the jury's class for her and everything. We got our receipts. It's just in an uproar. And I've been trying to get in contact with you. I've been sending you emails. And I've been talking in text. I've been talking a lot through Brother Patton. So when he's referring you, he's talking about me because I have spent a lot of money for honor and all the things to do.
I
And
haven't
I'm
gotten any particular emails directly from Powerton on this issue though. I don't have
okay.
it. We did send them, I haven't seen any emails.
I'm just letting you so you know our names. So when you do these emails and who to talk to, I have put out a lot of money. So I feel like
So
make sure you put
all
out
of your activity was with Indigenous of the North?
yes, sir, man. I done spent a lot of money. My wife can show you at least $8,000 worth of stuff. They sent me to City Hall in Virginia to do this. And these people for tax exemption for my properties. And because we buy and try to sell homes or lease them out. And they were, you know, when I joined on it, it won't about taxes and all that. It was about the tribe and it was about being indigenous and it was about finding out who we are. So some of these things I'm just learning they can come with it. And I'm happy about it. But I'm also trying to do it the correct way. So I spent the money by what they're telling me to do. And then next thing I know, they went in an uproar. I don't know what happened. Things just went crazy. So, but that still don't excuse the fact that I spent my money by the guidance of somebody telling me. And,
Right.
and if it won't right, I'm still
Yeah,
don't know
you're
what
gonna
to
have to
do.
deal with these issues to get them clear.
Yeah, I don't know what to do after spending this type of money. So when you reach out to people, you make sure you put us on the email, contact us, and if you can guide us, man, I'd be more than happy and appreciative.
Yes,
And I
sir.
tell Patton I talk to you on the on a video chat tonight because he's been
Absolutely. That's why we're here.
I like the guy. I like Patton. Patton has told me more and helped me more in the last couple of weeks than I know since I joined Arnold. So I appreciate the brother right there, him and his wife. So now that I got your attention, man, we need help over here because like the lady said, we've been spending a lot of money and we don't even know what to do.
Oh yeah, that's why you're on here. You on here to get it fixed. Believe me, trust me, bro. That's
So
why
you
you're here.
put us on the list of the people to contact, and I pay for the jurors too, I told you. And I don't know what happened with that. Or
I mean, they can't do the juris course. Everybody who signed up for a juris course with them is going to take the juris course at headquarters for free.
okay. So I appreciate it, man. If you put us on the people to contact.
Do you have the same email as your wife, or do you have a different email?
I have a different email, but if you contact her,
I'll email.
yeah, she'll tag me to the email.
Okay.
Cause
Absolutely.
she just was saying something about she gonna send you my phone number or something. Cause we try to text you. We don't know if this your number or we don't know if that's the front office. All we know is we were trying to reach out to you to try to help settle our matters down here.
Right. Yeah, you probably were texting this phone right here, but I didn't see any text about this particular issue unless it was just recent, like really recent.
It might have been about the juries, about me paying for my wife for the juries. I think
Okay.
Patton supposed to send that to you. But I also gave City Hall and them a lot of money and for my properties. Or 1 minute I'm hearing if you own the property and you don't got a mortgage, or if you got a mortgage, you can't do tax. I done heard so much stuff. And that's why I was listening to you tonight, trying to make sure I understand everything you're
Oh
saying.
yeah, that's
Because
going to take a private conversation though. Tonight was about grounding people in their nationality, the labor and other things. Your situation is a very specific situation that we're going to have to go into way greater detail. So some of this will help you just generally just to understand, but this is a case, that we have to deal with.
yes, sir. Thank you, man. Appreciate it much, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please, Ali, I have a question about the my driver's license and my concealed carry permit.
Hmm?
Will I have to keep I want to get my tribal driver's license once I get my name change process done. I couldn't do it because I owed back taxes to the state, so they wouldn't let me go through with my name change process. But I'm working with Brother Kojo on my financial debt recovery process now.
Okay.
So when I get that done and I do my name change, do I have to keep my state driver's license because I have a state concealed carry permit?
Yeah, you do.
I do. Okay.
You can still use your tribal driver's license as you're moving around or whatever, but you have to keep the state license.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Peace, Chief.
Peace, family.
It's me again. I have a quick question about credit. When you change your name on your credit cards and on your credit report, does that affect your credit score if you're putting it in your indigenous name? It's still the same social security number, but
no, it won't affect it unless you go through like financial recovery or something and remove debts that you owe, that are on there. In some instances, there's a delay, or in some instances, they just drop stuff off, whether it's accidentally or whatever. But if they don't, you still have to address any issues of adverse credit that you have on there. And you also have the opportunity of, at that point, using business credit if you get a DUNS number via your EIN number.
okay, because I got my credit reports from all three agencies, and I noticed there's some credit cards I haven't used that had my old name. So, I mean, I'm in good standing. I have a great credit score. I just wanted to make sure everything is in my indigenous name. So I was going to go call each of these credit card companies and put it in my, my tribal name. And I just didn't want it to mess up my score if I do that, or do I need to delete the card, or like what?
Oh, it's not gonna mess up your score. Any places you've used your old name, you have the evidence of the name correction, you can fax, mail, whatever correspondence that is agreeable between you and the institution, and get an updated credit card or medical insurance. No matter what type of contract it was. And it doesn't change credit score. It won't make it go down because you did it. It's just
Okay,
literally just a replacement.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Assalamu alaikum, Chief.
Blake Salam.
You need to add me to that list. And I need a private session ASAP in reference to having to pay taxes prior to your indigenous process being completed.
This was job taxes on your job.
Yes. Because this may cause a huge life-changing event for me if I have to pay taxes on taxes that, prior to that, because I was not told that information.
Okay, so just to be clear, this deals with you nationalizing and then getting information from Indigenous of the North that
So
you.
I say I nationalized in March or April, and I didn't pay taxes from that point on. The taxes
So
from January
was that
to April.
Was that because you filed documents not to?
After I received everything, yes.
Okay, so you filed documents with your job.
Yes.
And they stopped taking taxes out, like federal, state?
Correct.
Okay.
But what happened, you were saying the months prior to, if you didn't start it in January, I believe, or
Right.
December, that you're responsible for those. So I
Well,
need
it's
to
an
know
annual
how am I
contract.
supposed to.
It's pretty much the same thing. It's an annual contract. And we got to understand what a contract is. A contract is a binding agreement. So when you sign up for a contract, there's that, and it's going to last until the next year. And if you have something different, then it changes. So we will have to look at it and see if they are requiring you to pay taxes for the whole year, then we have to look at what options we have available to try to exonerate you from those things that are available.
Does the Form 56 exonerate those prior months so like if she's
No.
started taxes in from March to April,
No, ma'am.
does it? Okay.
Everything is kind of synonymous and it's really simple. When you start a year and you have your name on the W-4, it's a contract for the year. If you file Form 56 in August, that is to notify them of Form 56 that you have a new fiduciary, got the tribe information on there, but that kicks in the new tax year because it's a new contract. And how you're going to deal with the W-4 will be different from that time period. So again, it's just an annual contract.
Peace.
Peace, Emma.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thanks a lot, sister.
So, I never did Form 56. I never did an I-9 for my job either. I did do the 10, the W-4. The W-4. So is that going to be a problem? I haven't, filed taxes since 2019.
Okay.
But I didn't know anything about the I-9 or the Form 56. So I should turn that in now, right?
Well, if you turn in Form 56 and Form I-9, it's going to kick in 2023.
Oh my goodness.
Everything is an annual tax form because the W-4 leads you into every year. You start out with the fiscal year, you have a W-4 for that year, it covers the whole year. Next year, the same way, this is the annual tax form. So you could fill those forms out and submit them to your job, but they will kick in 2023.
So, I've been tax exempt. So are they going to come back and ask me, or I don't know, the IRS?
When you say you've been tax exempt, meaning they were not taking taxes out since
Correct.
2019?
Correct. Since 2020, actually. 2020.
Okay. yeah, if you don't have documents on record, I mean, they won't come now, but they'll come later and start asking you questions. If you don't have, some type of response or rebuttal or something like that.
Mhm. Oh, but I should do that sooner rather than later.
If you do it, yeah, if you do it sooner and we are attempting to mount some type of response based on looking at everything, the sooner the better. But we just want to make sure you're doing that correctly. That's your job.
Okay.
All right, so all these Form 56 issues are going to be handled together, kind of, so we can, be functional. I'm just writing down everybody who has it, so when we start doing it, you'll get a notice, so we can all do this stuff together.
Mhm. And also, when I went to the Social Security Administration to change my name, well, I kept my Muslim name,
Mhm.
and I just changed my middle name to an indigenous name. So when I gave them the forms, she didn't even look at it. She was just like, "We're just gonna change it." So they just changed my middle name, and
They
I haven't
changed the middle
changed.
name? Oh, I understand. They didn't
Yeah,
change it to
they
what?
changed to a different name that I submitted.
Oh,
Yeah, she just changed.
okay, to what you submitted. I'm about to say, they changed your name to something that you didn't submit? That's
No, they
crazy.
changed. No, they changed it to. She didn't even look at the paperwork. It was like, "Oh, this is one of those tribal things. We're not even gonna worry about that. You just changing your middle name of your social security card." And I was like, "Yeah." So they just changed it. So I didn't go back to any courts or anything. I just left. Since they changed it on my social security card, I went with that.
Okay, because it's not, I'm wondering if that's policy. I need to research that and see if that's some type of policy, if it's a middle name and you don't need a court change or something. Because what I don't want to happen is for them to revoke it and try to send it back because you didn't go to the courts and do it the way, we recommended. Because they have done it for other people.
Oh, okay. Because I really didn't change my middle name or anything else but my social security card.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But in the future, if you want to change it on other things, if you want that name reflected, then they're gonna say, "Where is your court document?"
Okay.
Because prior to this, when I came into the nation back in the 90s, we didn't have to do that. We got a letter from the secretary, went down there, did all the stuff, and it was cool. But that was before they passed that Dodd-Frank Act and started, requiring the states to have these new IDs and updates. So I went through it the natural way prior to, when my name was just Ali Muhammad. But when they made those updates, I went back and did everything, right? So I'm telling everybody that y'all need to do it because I don't want these people to come and start messing up your business and you're in the middle of trying to do stuff and then they changing documents and going crazy,
Okay. And with the license, I'm gonna get a tribal license. I haven't got one yet, but my license has expired here.
Yeah, you're gonna definitely need to renew it before you do that because the compliance form requires you to have it active.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll have to renew it. Okay.
After you renew it, you can put it down somewhere and not even use it. But we recommend to keep it for a lot of reasons. Like we just had one issue where gun permits. So we have people with 3D printers, but we're not at full scale operation printing, bullets and receivers and all of that stuff yet. So we want everybody to have, that's one reason we want everybody to have access to concealed carry. And it's good to keep that license because that becomes a conflict of interest sometimes with the state if they find out, and then they send it to that little channel they use with the FBI and it just becomes crazy. So And all of that is to basically harass people.
Mhm.
But yeah, you would want to renew it before you do the tribal license.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thanks. I'll send that form. You want me to send the Form 56 to the email when I fill it out?
No, what we're gonna do is we're gonna fill this stuff out together. So
Okay.
don't send it in yet, because we want to make sure that everybody has the same template and fills it out. So I'm just writing you down for it. You're gonna get a notice of when to come on. We're gonna do this live, and it's probably a couple days from now.
Okay.
Could you put me on that list too? This is Natalie. I desperately want to be on that list. Thank you, Ally.
You had mentioned it before, so I had you down for that.
Oh, I didn't know if you wrote it down. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Peace, God.
Kyle,
What's going on, God?
hey man, I'm working on an investment settlement, and I'm wondering do we only have one trust, which is the International Irrevocable Trust, or is there another trust?
You can make as many trusts as you need to make.
All right.
Depending on what you need it for.
All right, so I've got some money that's going to be coming in from an investment, and I want to make the transaction private. And they're also going to ask for a copy of it when I set up the account. So should I use the one that I have, or would you recommend I set up something new?
For something like that, you're gonna need, do you already have a trust right now? Just a general trust from the beginning?
Yes, just the one from the beginning.
All right, yeah, you're gonna need a new trust for that type of thing. Write that down.
Is there someone in particular that you want me to work with on that?
I'm thinking if we can use Kojo is tied up. You can we can triangulate me, you, and Arcan. I'll just get Arcan to work with you on it, and I'll triangulate with him just to make sure he's up to par with this, because it is something unique. You're doing an investment settlement.
And I'm going to be setting up investments to make sure, that we earn interest on the money and that type of thing. And they're going to require, when I set up my investments, a copy of the trust as well. I don't have to send the schedules, but just the basics.
Right. Got you. Okay. All right. What is your email?
Coach Kyle at startsmail.com.
Startmail.
Yes.
Startmail.com. Okay.
That's an encrypted email.
Got you. Give me 24 hours. I'll talk to Arcan, and then we'll reach out to you, and then we can jump on that, set it up. It's pretty easy. That's a one-day setup. And then after that, give you a little bullet point on just some things. Ask a few questions just to make sure that we cover everything. And within, let's see, it's Tuesday. By Thursday, we should have this done.
Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely, God.
Peace, Chief. I had one more quick question.
Absolutely.
Now, this is something that like really, when I started really peeping your channel and all of that, really kind of jaw dropped me, because I was like a noble Jew Aliite before coming into the tribe. And being that I did change my name and all of that, like I know you've talked about it a lot, is the white, or putting in.
Hold on, you breaking up. You went out a little bit. Can you hear me?
Mic mute, brother.
Oh yeah, my bad. It was people coming in, and I was trying to let somebody in, and I think I hit the mute button.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So you started at Noble Drew Ali, and then went to
the whole white situation. Like, I've watched the debate with you and Lord Abba and all of that. Like, but at this point, I had already made that change. Like, is this a reason for me to go back through that process on the social? Being that my name changed already?
You can update it and just make sure you put Indigenous American, the proper thing. They don't use that for anything but statistical data. So
Okay. So is the white out of topic though? Is that just something I shouldn't have put?
I mean, politically, it's not going to personally injure you, but it is a record. So you always want your records to reflect who and what you actually are. And, you know, placing yourself on there as indigenous is the most proper thing because that's what you are. Everything else is just, you know, it's hard to calculate on what could become of it, but just in case, you know, something, you can just go
Yeah,
out
because
and
I was
need to correct that.
yeah, because I was curious. Is this like, I mean, I always did kind of wonder that. Is it kind of conflicting with what I'm saying on my card to what you could look up in record, you know?
Right, right. Yeah, usually entities are just interfacing with you financially. They're not accessing that particular data. Like I said, it's statistical data. But it in some instances, more so on the census, it affects money and how stuff goes, but I would update it just to reflect the proper thing.
Indeed. All right. Correct. And one more
Karen?
question, just kind of a personal
Oh, go ahead.
question. Is it true, really, I guess, you know, that whole white situation, that's just completely bogus?
It's not bogus. What it is when the British Americans formed their jurisdiction, they use a designation for themselves.
Right.
Pretty much it. And then they extended that designation to Black Europeans.
Right.
So some of them were using it. But, you know, other than that, the whole argument of black and white is so stupid because the terms are colloquial terms. And that's it. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not even an argument. It only becomes an argument when we don't know our status. Like, I don't care if you don't like the word black or if you do like it. It doesn't affect our indigenous status at all. You know, at this point, all the white people are 14th Amendment citizens too.
True.
So, you know, like it's the argument is out of date and out of place when you start dealing with it not being 1789 or 1822 or, you know, it's out of date. It's an out of date argument.
Right. Okay. Summed it up for me. Thanks, Chief.
Yes, sir, God.
Hey, please.
All right, Karen, we're gonna go by hands up so I can make sure I cover everybody. Go ahead, God.
That's me?
Yes, yes.
Peace, God.
What's going on, God?
I'm all right. I got a question about the Real ID Act. What if your state hasn't instituted it yet? Because they extended it till 2023. Can you still slip in and get your name changed without having to go through the courts?
Good, but at the point where they bring it, they could come back and throw all your stuff out.
Oh, they could. But couldn't they do that with anything you did before that time anyway, right?
Yeah, if you didn't do the way we are recommending doing it now.
I'm just saying, because like you said, back in the day, we didn't do all that. So I didn't have to go through all that to change my name.
Me neither.
Yeah, but so that's my point. So could they come back and disregard what you've done also? Because the
No, you can't disregard what I've done because what I did is I had our tribal name correction and I went into their courts and made that known and used that as an evidentiary document.
Oh yeah, but you went to court with that. That's my point. We didn't go to court back in the day.
Right. I didn't go into court back in the day either. What I'm saying is after that law was passed, we started making the recommendations because they started kicking people's stuff back, passports, security cards. They was random about it. So we figured out the way to do it to secure ourselves so we wouldn't, create a conflict of interest. And then it was safe, it was a safe measure, safe, lawful and legal measure.
Yeah, because I'm back in the day, like the sister said, she just went in there to the Social Security and they just said, okay.
Yeah, everybody in the mosque did that.
Exactly.
The secretary sent us down there and did it, but
it depends on who you talk to at Social Security, really. Sometimes they just, whatever. Some people gonna be a hard ass about it. But like you said, some people just going, oh, that's cool. You Muslim now, bye bye, boom, you out.
Right,
But
yeah.
they eliminate that factor.
Yeah. They totally eliminate that factor.
Yeah, but I definitely want to know about that Form 56 though, because I don't understand what it really actually is for. As
The
far
purpose of Form 56 is to notify the IRS that you're a member of the tribe, that you have access tax exemption, and your tribe can step in as a fiduciary to protect, defend, notice, whatever.
Oh, so that's a block.
Right. There you go.
All right, all right, got you.
No,
All right, well, definitely put me on that class too. I want to know, get the feedback on that form.
absolutely, God.
All right, peace, brother.
Peace, God.
Likewise for Mr. Mobay too on that class.
Okay. And I can basically send a link to everybody because everybody needs the information. But all we're gonna be doing is a live orchestration of how to fill out the form. So everybody, gets that, does it. And then and then we got two ways that we can deal with it. I like to do it this way because I like people to have personal information accessible in their hands and aware. But another way that we have to speed up the process is you hitting the link, filling out your information, it populates the document, and you can have it right there, save it.
Was that in the economic Bible? Because I guess I missed that part in the economic Bible. Is the Form 56 in there?
Form 56, I'll
I
have to
don't
check
think so.
I don't think it was. I think it was just in the juris manual.
Oh, okay, that's what it is. That's why I missed it. All right.
Yep. All right. Pierre, wait, let's see, I've been calling out names. Pierre, you wanna come on, God?
Peace, Ali. How are you?
I'm great, God. How are you?
I'm very good. First of all, good to talk to you. Good to see you.
Yes, sir. I ain't seen you since you was
you
out there tearing it up at the Indigenous Ball.
Thank you. Yeah, great. That was a great time. So I had two questions real quick. On number one, it's regarding nationality. I was having a conversation with my uncle. He called me around 1 a.m. and he was probably looking at my social media and stuff. And he was asking me, we had a whole 2-hour or something conversation. It ended up being, he didn't know all the process that I've gone through and everything. And he asked me about, as I was explaining it to him, he asked me about, so legally, is there anything in the process of doing this? Is there anything that you have any rights? You talk about the things that you have gained, but is there anything that you've lost, Pierre, from doing this? I want to make sure I have I can communicate that properly. So there's various things that we gain through nationalizing. But as far as like he asked me about okay, there's Medicare, Social Security, things of that nature. And how I responded to that is, well, basically what we're trying to do is what we advocate for is basically securing our own future rather than government entities. And we're wanting to be self-sustaining, self-efficient, not looking for someone, basically someone else to secure that for us. So yes, I don't completely understand how that works because I've already spent a couple years of my adult life paying into that, Social Security, Medicare, all that. So yeah, how exactly, that's my first question is, how exactly does that work?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Once you nationalize, you are not limited or restricted from contracting at all in any way that you used to contract. So if you want health insurance, you can get it. And if you want, if you want to continue to collect Social Security because of your calculation that you're going to need it in your elderly years, you can do it. You are not limited or restricted from doing anything that you were doing before. What is limited is the restriction of slavery, basically. You know what I mean? Meaning you have a choice now to engage in these contracts as opposed to before, some of these contracts you were just locked into.
Mhm. And go along with that without even thinking about, because that's what we do. That's just what we do.
Yeah. But if somebody wanted health insurance, them having their Aboriginal name on documents or whatever, it doesn't restrict that. They can do any contract, you know, car insurance, whatever they were doing before, they can do that.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, thank you for that. And the second.
I got one question before you move on. And is that because of the Snyder Act? I just wanted to ask, is that due to the Snyder Act?
The Snyder Act is part of it. The Snyder Act adds layers of protection, though, to the property. So even though you're engaging in these particular whatever things, if you have something in your trust or protections, yeah, that's protected. You know what I mean? But you know, even if you say, well, I don't want no parts of the Snyder Act, that's your individual choice. ARNA can't take you away from that. As a US national, you're still not going to be, or you can't get insurance because you're not a US, you know, you're not anything here. You are something here by nature, by being born here just solely, you are something. But the Snyder Act just adds the ability, let's say you want to run to be the sheriff. You're going to need the Snyder Act in order to have that activated. But that's already in your documents, you know, already. So it's kind of like in the most simplest way, we have a choice. It's our choice. It's our group choice and our personal choice. But even without the Snyder Act, some of these things you can still do. You're not limited or restricted.
How you doing, Chief?
Oh, wait.
All right.
We had a part two to his question, and then we
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So the second part was just goes back to tax exemption for a second. I'm in Illinois. I'm in Chicago, and I filled out a form. I was directed to fill out a form called a stacks because there are certain places I've gone with my my ID and it's worked fine, but there are certain places like Walmart, as an example, they've been able to deny me, tell me that I need a Illinois state tax exemption certificate. So from what I heard you say earlier, I sent that like 2 weeks ago, the form that I was told to send to get that certificate. But it sounded, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounded like you were saying there's another way to do it. Basically, you said a single purchase tax exemption form.
Yep.
Yeah,
that would be Illinois single purchase. Usually counties don't do them, but you know, don't quote me on that because sometimes counties have their process where they have these particular forms, but usually it's the state and it's a single purchase form, and you take the form in with you with your ID, and you know, you already have it filled out, and you know, you submit it to them once you get to the register or whatever the front checkout part of the store is.
And is that something that you would first have to send to this? You would first have to send something to the state, right?
No, single purchase forms are for you walking in the store and doing a single purchase. You have to send anything to the state. The state provides it for single purchases for companies who might not be dealing with large amounts of sales tax exemption or whatever. You know, they want to do it for particular items or, you know, those types of things. Or while you're waiting now and you're still making purchases on them to come back, you can use a single purchase form anytime you go into these stores.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, after I heard you say that, I was trying to find it online, but yeah, that's helpful. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, God. Absolutely. All right, Jetty.
How you doing, Chi?
I'm great, God.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, I don't have none of them forms. So, but here's my issue. I'm getting ready to start a whole nother business. So do I need to go ahead and just get me a LLC? or do I need to wait on getting some of these forms? You know, because I mean, I have a couple LLCs already, but I'm trying to get away from that whole thing altogether.
Okay. Well, when you get your documents done, you're gonna get an initial trust done. You can always use that business. If you need another style out of the 7 that I mentioned earlier, you just have to figure out which one it is that you want to get, and then, you know, go to a jurist to get the EIN number and the articles and everything.
Okay. When am I gonna be hearing about all that?
Hearing about what? Which one? Which part?
You know, all of it. You know, I'm ready to
Oh,
get
the
started.
jurist, you don't have to wait for the jurist at all. But for your paperwork or documents, you're looking at like a 2-week period.
Okay.
So yeah, depending on you know, what type of business you're doing, you can discuss it with a jurist and see if you need an LLC for it or something else or some other type of structure.
I'm doing some trash hauling.
That's all?
Yeah, a junk business.
You need permits for that, right?
No,
No permits needed?
nope.
Okay, so you don't have to do an LLC, standard LLC. You got partners at all?
Not really.
Regular employees that might be working with you or something?
Independent contractors.
Independent contractor, there you go. All right, okay. So yeah, you could use a number of types of entities to deal with it. That's a simple one. That's not difficult. Matter of fact, I mean, to save money, you could use your initial business registered with Arna to do it, unless you wanted to be a particular name.
It is gonna be a particular name.
All right, so yeah, you need a separate biz for that. So you just need a standard business so you can open a bank account and carry out your activity.
All right.
Okay. Now, I can direct you to a jurist, or you can just contact any jurist for a business registration.
Well, it might have more clout if you direct me.
All right, I'm gonna put somebody on you. Oh, wow, man. Don't worry, I'm gonna get my jurists in shape so they at optimal performance.
Okay.
They about to be in the hot seat, all of them, so it's all good. We're gonna get that fixed.
You gonna ride that hot seat with them?
Hey, I'm already in the hot seat. let me give you an idea how hot I already know. All right, so this is my business line. This happened today, and I've been checking emails back and forth. So y'all can see that number right there. It's a little blow. You see that text message right there? How many on there? 49. So I gotta get past half of those after I get off of here myself today, because ain't nobody here to work with me, right? And then tomorrow I gotta get the other half because they're gonna keep coming. So I'm in the hot seat, bro. Trust me. And that's all free labor because I still got to do my personal work that I got to do to take care of, my family. So it's all good. Luckily, I'm in good shape. I can stay up late, get up early.
Hey, that's a good blessing.
Yes, sir. As long as it's working for, we doing this and we free, I don't have no problem with it.
Yeah,
if I'm working for some other people, I'd be peeling out real quick.
Well, yeah, I have some of those other issues with them IRS folk. They trying to attack my other businesses.
For back taxes?
At least that's what they say.
That's the accusation.
But they haven't given no authority as to why.
Yeah, well, they never do that. So, we got all kind of methods to get them to leave us alone. We just gotta, be clear about what we did and what we didn't do. And then once that's clear, the cavalry can be summoned.
Well, and that's why I'm trying to start a whole nother business to get it done right the first time, so I don't have to go back and do all that.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely, got it. Absolutely. All right, so let me get some of these folks so we get to these questions.
All right.
We're gonna get on here. Washak, we see you.
Peace, guy. How you doing?
I'm great, guy. How are you?
Good, good, good. So just a few questions. So yeah, when I first came in, I was just told to get my documents notarized, not authenticated. Do I need to go back and get it authenticated? If so, do I need to get new articles, or can I just authenticate the ones from 2 years ago?
No, you don't need any authentications.
Okay.
Unless they're, it's us with our seals, but with them, cancellation birth certificate notarized. Tribal.
Well, I mean, authenticated from the county clerk's office? No.
No.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to get authentication, you can. I mean, we're not going to stop you. It's not illegal, and it won't create a conflict of interest. But for the documents like the cancellation, the tribal certification, what else? Oh, your articles of organization when you initially get, those are just notaries.
Okay, awesome. All right, my second question. So we talked about not the business address, and not having to change that. But when I first opened it up, I had the bank account open, but then it closed because I didn't put any money in it. But then I opened it back up and I put a new address on it, but I didn't change the articles. If they already opened it up, do I need to go change it, or should I still just send in new articles just to make sure they have the new address?
Well, they didn't because it's the same state, right?
Yes, the same state.
Yeah, so if it's the same state, it's not an issue. If it's when you move states that they bring up a conflict of interest.
Now, I didn't move states, but now do I need to update now that I moved states? If they still have the same bank in the same state, do I need to update, or can I just?
Yeah, you do need to update, because what's going to happen is if they ever raise the issue to close the account, you need to make sure that your articles are notarized and you have a trade name registration for that business in the state that you're in.
Okay. Now with the trade name, I have my my indigenous business still had the indigenous name plus trust, and then the DBA was Washak Shiamaru Ali. I just use that same one to.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. All right. And so since I moved states, I still got to do my name change. Do I need to go back to South Carolina and do it, or can I do a name change in the new state I'm in if I change my IDs in the new state?
Yeah, you change your IDs in the new state, you can do it in the state that you're in.
Okay. All right. And what's the difference between a tribal LLC and a standard LLC?
The tribal LLC is a tax exempt LLC, and the standard LLC is just a standard LLC. States don't allow for LLCs to be tax exempt.
Okay.
So we can create a tribal LLC, and the reason why you're creating it is because you want a limited liability company that's tax exempt. So yeah, you can do that. The only difference is when you open an account for it, you want to use a holding company as a subsidiary to hold the funds on the account. So you would do articles for a holding company, registered trade name or whatever, and get an EIN for the holding company too, because the holding company is going to hold those assets. Pretty much it. A standard LLC, of course, you have to do the registration with the Secretary of State.
Well, the use of doing a standard LLC is only because of certain certifications you have to have?
Yeah, standard LLCs are done because of permits and requirements that, you might have a big construction business or something where you if you're not on your own land and you're contracting with people, you're going to need some of those permits to get the contracts. If you're doing something on your own stuff, you don't need all that stuff. But yeah, just mainly contracts and interfacing with the foreign venue.
Okay, and last question. I know we talked about, once we get through the rites of passage, you'll update, the jurists in the class and stuff like that.
I'm gonna do that while we are doing the rites of passage. So that's gonna start. It's just not gonna finish, because rites of passage will run out before we close that out.
Okay, now is that you're gonna do the same thing as starting a class for people who went through Indigenous of the North? Because I'm already a jurist, I just need updates.
No,
but can
2
I-
levels, meaning, yeah, it'll be new people and then people who've been jurists who
Oh,
need
okay.
to make sure that they're up to par on understanding processes, client file books are straight, no crazy stuff going on, and just making sure everybody on the same page.
So that's all on one thing. Okay, all right. I appreciate it. Thanks, God.
Absolutely, God, absolutely. Taryn, you got your hand up? You good?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, okay, I can hear you. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
What's up, Chief? How you doing?
I'm great, God. How are you?
I'm fine. I got 2 questions.
Absolutely.
The first one is, like, let's say you're a U.S. citizen, but you're not allowed to carry a firearm. Does that change when you get into honor?
It only changes when we produce the firearm. If you
Okay.
had that old felony or whatever, that's going to stay there, even though you've, changed your name. The only way that you can deal with it in that venue is if you can get an expungement on that particular issue and then go. But we working diligently on our process, and with our process, you won't have to worry about that.
Okay, I got you. My second question is about the tax exemption. Like, I'm literally like tax exempt right now, but for some reason they always seem to take out, like, it don't be a whole lot, it just be like maybe like $187 or $200, but they always, manage to take out. I'm trying to figure out why that is.
It depends on what entity is listed there taking it out. Is it Medicare? Is it Social Security? Is it the state?
Oh, they just put stuff that don't even make sense. Like I'm working in Philadelphia right now, so they'll just put Philadelphia. They won't even put nothing else.
Yeah,
it's strange.
I mean, it might be a city tax.
Yeah. And
You gotta find out, because usually, you know how they have it all divvied out, if you got a payment, federal, state. If it's
Yeah.
Philly, then that's a city tax.
Well, in the Medicare, I told them I didn't even want their Medicare, but they still take out for it anyway.
Yeah, Social Security and Medicare, they usually, it's because it's a U.S. entity or a state entity or that entity. They usually take those out and leave you with the option of not getting the federal and the state taken out. But
Okay.
when you employ, usually, I've seen some rare cases where they stop it, but
Okay, that's about all I got.
absolutely, God.
I appreciate it.
Anytime, God. Devon, got your hand up, fam?
Peace, Chief.
Peace. What's going on, King?
How you doing?
I'm great.
When I got my paperwork from the Indigenous of the North, it was like 3 days later when you made an announcement that they're being canceled out. So I really didn't get any instruction, and then you just did what you did. I just want to be clear on, I don't even think I got everything that you just showed, but I'm gonna go through it tomorrow because I'm kind of tired. So you're saying that you're gonna do this to where we can just fill it out on online and get all our paperwork?
Well, that's something different. I was talking about the Form 56 and populating people into a space where they can fill out the data, each individual, whatever, by getting access to the form, and then we can have all those forms saved at headquarters, and they can also save it. But that was Form 56. But for you, with whatever you don't have that was in that 8-document list, make sure you list it, send us an email, and then we can correct it.
So am I gonna have a jurist that I'm gonna be dealing with personally so I can?
No, that's gonna come from headquarters. Well, it's gonna be a jurist, but it's gonna be coming from me because I want to make sure this stuff get done.
Done right. All right, I got you.
Yeah. So we're gonna be here at headquarters. So when you send it, we'll see it. And the only thing you got to make sure that you do is that one of the emails, we had a link for doing your registration on the main website.
I did the registration already.
Bingo. All right, so you're good. So we can access the data.
All right. You have a good night.
What's up, God?
Peace, everybody. Have a good night.
All right, we got Zoom user. I don't have a name on it. I just see Zoom.
Chief, I think that's me, Chief.
Oh, peace, God.
Peace, God.
Congratulations. Hold on. I just saw the text when he picked up the phone. I'm looking like, hold on, what? A baby.
Yeah.
Bruh. Congratulations to the guy. Everybody give it up because we got a
congratulations.
Congrats, gang. Congrats.
Congratulations.
We need it.
Yeah, thank you.
No.
Is it a girl?
Congrats.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Diamond Day.
Is it a boy?
Boy. Yeah. He's an 8 of diamonds.
That's strategic, guys. Very
I got
diamonds.
Yes, sir. I got some questions for
yes, sir.
For you, Chief. I missed something because I was in and out, Are we not giving the new nationals an opportunity to open up a bank account before we process the rest of their nationality paperwork?
Well, the problem with that was the name. So if the national is not changing their name for whatever purposes, then that's fine. But with the name change, we don't want them. It can happen, but it can create a conflict of interest. We don't want them getting the business articles in the old name, right? And then going and do the name change that we are recommending that they do, and then having to go to change that or wanting to update it or whatever. So the best way to deal with that is to allow for them to complete that, which only usually takes a few weeks. And then once they complete that, that name can go on the business articles, it can go on everything that they had prior with that old name. So yes, that is a correction to that process to make sure that people's names are reflected on everything now, for multiple reasons, but especially in the climate that we're in, is executive orders being passed, currency being changed, there's all kind of stuff going on. I don't want any of us to lose or to be mismatching on documents.
Okay. So we putting tribal names on all documents unless they're changing their name, unless they're not changing their name.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. And okay, that scratches my other question, which was, I just wanted to put it out there. I think it was Natalie that said something about having the name trust at the end of your name, your new national name. I've done a couple of times where I've taken the word trust off of the national name and did it on the DBA portion of the IRS form. So it would say Answer El Muhammad Trust under there, but at the top, it would say Answer El Muhammad. So that just so that they would get their bank account open with no problems with the word trust being there. Is that permissible?
That is permissible. But
okay,
if there was any blocking, it was only because when we do that summary trust document, that needs to be included, right? Which
okay.
It details everything. And then they got the EIN in the business master file. Some people weren't doing the trade name registration. So when you go to a bank and you don't have a social security, a Secretary of State registration or a trade name, which you can get from the county, if you don't have those, then they're like, eh. So the trade name that we started talking about a while ago was to secure that process to secure the account. Because whether it was trust on there or not, they're gonna open it up. I don't care what's on there, because that shows that you've made interaction with the state, and that business is been noticed in the public that it's doing business in that jurisdiction.
Okay. And the last question was not a statement, just for clarification. It's for the sister Sabrina Henderson. I'm the one who was working on her case, 501D case.
Oh, 501D.
That's what the issue is with her. And so, you know, you can tag me in.
Got you. Okay, 501D. All right. Yeah, I think it was just the way she was explaining it, just as far as, okay, the 501D and getting it, you know, certified through the IRS, that's cool. But it was just the way she was languaging it, because it made it seem like New York was trying to send her to Ohio to do the actual tax exemption. And then once they clear that up, it was like, all right, okay, I got it. Yeah. Because, you know, these people get crazy, like, how you, I mean, I'm not saying that these people won't do that, you know, because they do a whole bunch of crazy stuff. But usually when you're doing a property tax exemption, they have a little county office that takes the information, you know, and processes it. And if they have a question, it comes right back from that county, and they ain't pointing you to the other, to another state or whatever. But yeah, once that was clear, I understood what she was saying.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Yes, sir, God.
Thank y'all, tribe.
Yes, sir. Thank you, God. Take care of that young king, bro.
Yes, sir.
My son is about to be 10 tomorrow, and I could literally remember that moment that you have right now, like yesterday, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah. We had him in the living room. We couldn't get the pool up, so we had him he came out quick, less than 4 hours.
Wow, that's dope,
Yeah.
bro. That is dope. Congratulations to the queen, man.
Yes, sir. I know a lot of nationals don't know how to get the birth certificate, well, not the birth certificate, but how to get the passport for the baby before getting and all that. But I've done it successfully, so I'll probably be able to
update it. Give us some pointers on it, because these folk, bro, they try to put a bar up everywhere we go. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are we the only two on now?
Oh no, there's some folk there. I see
Okay.
Shira right there. And then, well, Shira got a hand up. You can go, Shira. And then we got
I'm still on.
Okay. Peace, everybody. I wanted to ask a question about, I know before rites of passage, we're in a probationary period to be in ARNA. And so the people that are not going through rites of passage or that have their IDs, I've heard in the background just talk that people are going to still try to use their IDs. Or if people said, I don't want to be a part of ARNA anymore, what is the procedure? Like, are we supposed to get IDs? Because I've heard some people just kind of, after they say that, they don't want to return their IDs and they don't want to pay for IPA. So like, I'm pretty sure that's illegal to do, but I just wanted to know, like, what should those people do that say they don't want to be in ARNA with their tribal IDs?
If they don't want to be in ARNA at all, they can just discard them, and we can send them the expatriation letter and the formal processes. For the people who are trying to be a little tricky, please.
No, you know I will.
I mean, in the sense of them trying to get over on us, like, I can say this publicly, like, people have received emails from Nikina. Nikina is still using bank accounts in her ARNA businesses, and she don't know that I already know what banks they are. So this is not something that they can play with, you know what I mean? And we're not going to obstruct anybody, you know, who, you know, if they, you know, go through the rites of passage, or if they choose not to and they want to get demoted to the IPA, that's cool. We have no problem with it. We're going to go as people want to go. But if they think that they're going to be able to keep businesses open and all of that, and we don't know, bro.
Yeah. And if there's
to underestimate us at that level shows how stupid they are, not how stupid we are. So.
All right, I'm just curious because I've heard some stuff and.
Trust me, I know it gets crazy and gets wild when you start talking about discipline and to Black people, especially if you are other Black people talking about discipline to other Black people, because they like, nigga, who do you think you are? And I'm like, I'm nobody. I'm just going by what we all agreed upon, and it's what we need in order to improve our families, to improve our relationships, to improve our children, to improve our business structures. This is what we need. And if you're saying that you don't need it and you don't want no parts of it, we ain't got a problem with that. But you're not going to lavish with everything that you gain from ARNA in that process. If you get demoted to the IPA, cool. None of your businesses get, you're not going to, it's just a demotion to the IPA because you decided that, for whatever reason, that's more comfortable for you. Fine. But if you are not with us at all and you are, then that's a problem. And if you go to the IPA and think that you're not going to pay dues at all, like F ARNA, I don't care about none of that, then just let the time catch up with you because we're going to get you.
Yeah, because I'm a snitch, so I'm going to just let everybody know. I don't care.
No, you didn't say, hey, ain't no snitches in here. We family, shit.
Yeah,
if somebody is trying to obstruct us like that, they could actually do something illegal with it and try to say, oh, I'm with them. They showed me this. No, you already gonna have your notices and everything before that. And once we get to the point where we do the private engagement and find out where everything is.
So after technically, if we pass, we're in ARNA. If we don't pass, are we back in probationary period and we just gotta try again, or?
Oh, you just in a probationary period. You can take the test again or try to figure out, it's not going to be a situation where, you can't access it. You just got to review the information, take the test again.
Okay.
And pass it to, show proficiency. The idea, again, like when we came on earlier, is proficiency. And we started out by saying that the reason why the United States of America and most governments on the earth are like they are is because the citizens and the nationals don't know nothing about their governments. You know what I mean? So if, let's say I get in this motherfucker and I want to steal from everybody because I'm just going to be a tyrant. If y'all educate, y'all be like, nigga, hell no, you're not about to do that. Nigga, get the fuck out of here. And that's where we got to be at as a society. We have to be at a society where we can't have dumb nationals. You know what I mean? People gotta know what they're getting involved in, why they're getting involved in it, and what it's going to add on to their life. And so when we start doing stuff like this, some people are not going to like it. And you know what? I like the fact that they don't like it because, let the dead weight fly,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So send out letters. That's what the jurists need to do.
Oh, no, the jurists ain't got to do nothing with none of those people. They don't have to do nothing. We got a full-scale process to deal with everybody who decides they don't want to be in ARNA, but they still want to use services and try to be sneaky. IPA people who decide to get demoted to the IPA thinking that they're not going to pay any dues. Yeah, don't worry about it.
All right.
Iris, got your hand up.
Yes, peace. Peace, Dr. Lee. Yeah, so I had a question going back to the Form 56 and just for clarity. So last year, I didn't change my name officially in the U.S. jurisdiction until last August. My jobs that I have are 1099s. But of course, one of them was not done until after that name change. The other one was a 1099 anyway. It's in my name, Iris. But what I'm understanding, or correct me, is that the Form 56 has to precede a person trying to just not file taxes anymore. Is that it?
No, not as an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, the activity is once you get your indigenous business registered and you start receiving the monies from that entity, then at that point you're cool. You know, entrepreneurs never have to fill out a Form 56 if they don't want to. That's only for employers who are attempting to do it because, you know, the tax exemption is not 100% for an employee. For an entrepreneur who is working through their business, who is receiving payments from a third party, once you're doing that, you're good.
Okay, so it doesn't matter, regardless of the 1099, one is in Iris's name and one is in Perusa. So that doesn't matter with the 1099s.
It doesn't matter if you are working, interfacing and getting paid in an indigenous business, then you're tax exempt. If you are not, then you're not tax exempt.
Okay, because I've had some jurors tell me before that if it's in your indigenous name, even though they put your social security number on there, that you should still be fine. But it needs to state Firuza Zan Trust then, correct? On my 1099, or
it doesn't matter. The name doesn't matter. What matters is if are they paying you as an individual or a business? Because I mean, a 1099 is usually used for a business to business independent contractor relationship. Are you putting EIN numbers on these forms, or are you putting something else?
I guess that's another issue because I have been fighting with these jobs to recognize me the way they're supposed to. And of course, I realize even outside of the 1099, they're probably still looking at me as an employee. So although I've tried, one, I've been successful to get them to recognize me through my EIN, but these two that I'm mentioning are, I would say, in my social security number.
Are these jobs or are these you contracting through a business to work with these people?
Let's see, one was a job because that's the other thing. The one that's in my indigenous name, Firuza Zan, and it still has my social security. Prior to that, the first half of the year, I do have a W-2. When I demanded and put my foot down about my tribal business, they did at least come back with the 1099 and put it in my Firuza Zan name. But I guess I'm going to say it's probably more, even though I've been trying to pursue that to be, you know, in a status of an indigenous business, I don't know if it is still just looked at as a, you know, I mean, I'm contracting with them for therapy services, for occupational therapy. But I don't know, I guess I don't know how to answer that question. I mean,
if you
because
contracted with them for occupational therapy, then the jurist or somebody should have made you a business for your occupational therapy services. And then when, you know, payments or whatever in 1099, it should have your name, your business name, your name, and your EIN number.
So it would be best to just set up another business reflecting like occupational therapy instead of just doing it up under the tribal name that I received initially, Firuza Zan Trust.
Well, Firuza Zan Trust is a business. So if you've been using that name to receive payments on, then you should be straight because that EIN was issued by us, correct?
Right.
Yeah, you're good. With that entity, you're good.
Right. I guess I'm just questioning because on the 1099, they're listing the social security number.
So when you did the W-9 with them, what information was put on the W-9, or did you ever do a W-9?
I did do a W-9. And again, I got a lot of, you know, slack from the jobs about it. And you know, a lot of these companies don't want to contract with another business. They always want to attach it to your name. And so it was just a long fight to even get the little bit of what I did, you know, to get them to, you know, recognize my business, my tribal business.
And is that because they were doing business with you as an individual before and they felt uncomfortable and they didn't want to change? Is that what kind of what it was?
Right, yes, one of them, the one that that I have the W-2 with, and then now have it the 1099 with, that one. The other 1099, it was just a 1099 contract job anyway, but it's, you know, it was just in my name. Now she coming up this next year, it will be in my, you know, tribal name, business name, Peruzas and Trust. So it's just been a fight, basically, and just me constantly pushing forward to get everything corrected.
Right, yeah, because that's the key. I mean, if you're running a business, you want them to pay you in your business name. And if they're not going to pay you in your business name, they're basically trying to make you an employee. And in that sense, you know, you have to approach that differently.
Right.
It's cut and dry as far as the law and the documents. It's just
Right.
what is going to be put down, you know, on the documents.
Right. And so, so as far as though, for filing taxes, I mean, I did just get a jurist to do the Form 56. I should be receiving it in the mail probably tomorrow. But as far as for last year, am I going to need to go ahead and file? I mean, I guess on the W-2 that I received, the 1099s, I don't have to worry about.
You don't have to worry about the one that you got paid under your business name, the trust one. If you got the W-2 and it was the individual, that's the one that they're going to try to hold you responsible for that year.
Okay. And the 1099 with Iris Gray Ingram on there. I know I may be redundant, but I just need to make sure.
Yeah, whatever is not in the business name, which is the exempt entity, is not exempt. Whatever is in non-exempt business or individual, those are the ones that you have accountability for, you know, because the documents weren't, you know, provided, or the entity wasn't provided that was exempt.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Pacha,
Peace, Chief. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, young lady?
Awesome. Quick question. For the business, for the EIN, it's listed as a nonprofit on the confirmation letter. However, when I applied for the DUNS number, they have listed it as a sole proprietorship. So I just wanted to know what the proper structure was, because I think they only have a designation for sole proprietorship, corporation, partnership, and LLC, I believe, under the DUNS number. And the EIN confirmation, it has our tribal business name, and then it has my husband's tribal name, and it says percentage sign CEO, and then his government name on the EIN confirmation letter. So I'm not sure what form of a nonprofit this EIN number is. Our paperwork was done through Indigenous of the North.
Yeah, that's correct for the for the DUNS number. Because it's not a what do you call it? 1023 IRS permissive nonprofit.
Okay.
And you know, using the sole proprietorship status or the status on DUNS, that DUNS is correct.
Okay, so still just go ahead and report the trade references and everything just as you would for a corporation or whatever with the with the sole proprietorship.
Absolutely, because you're still going to generate the paydex score and the business credit still.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right. Carla, I don't want to butcher your name, so you got to say it.
Hey, peace. It's Yanemi.
Say it again.
Yanemi.
Yanemi. I want to get the inflection right. Yanemi. I don't want to put it in the wrong thing. Yanemi.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Peace, peace, fam. So 2 things. Please forgive me if you touched on this. I am a bit tired, but so I am in the rites of passage, and I realized that this week I was not able to get to the exercise portion. I was in the middle of travel. What happens if we're not able to do the PT on time within the time frame? I think it's Saturday. Every Saturday, are we able to still turn in a submission for that if it's a day or 2 later?
Oh, we didn't have it. We don't have it until week 5.
Okay, so that's the confusion I was hearing. In one aspect, I heard it was every week.
No, we sent
but
the
I know,
schedule out to everybody. So
Right.
if you want to hear, if you look in those emails, we gave you all 8 weeks and everything that was going to be covered in those 8 weeks.
got you. I did. Okay, I did read that. Also, too, I wanted to make sure that because I am a little bit overwhelmed, and I'm being honest, because I want to make sure I have everything together, but I am a new national and I'm still learning this process. So I have no idea what to do with my taxes, and that's just being 100%. I already had my business, and I did not have my name changed. I didn't know that was an option. I was with the Indigenous of the North, and I was told that that was not something I had to do right away. Now finding out that it is something I should do right away. Who would be the best liaison for me to speak to and handle that part of everything, making sure that I don't get overwhelmed and lose everything?
Okay, let's rewind a little bit. All right, so when you reference the taxes, you're talking about for your personal business, right?
Yes.
Okay. Have you been using the business that you registered with IoT in to receive payments and that kind of thing, or you've been using some other means to receive payments?
It was some other means because I was unawares and focused on the Constitution and all that stuff, to be honest with you. So I need assistance to push over everything that's necessary to my tribal name.
Okay.
And also to check if my daughter is registered as well, because I believe Nakina told me that she would do something for free on my behalf of my daughter. I'm not sure what it was, but looking at what I paid, I believe she may have registered Layla, but I have all her paperwork for her and her name change and all of that. So I just needed to make sure that she's in the system appropriately, but if not, let me know
Yeah,
what's necessary.
the only thing that she would need to be in the system appropriately is to make sure her data is registered at the registration link at the main website.
Okay, I'll add her in there as well. I just didn't want to add her in without knowing if she was really, in the system or not, based on how business was conducted before.
Okay. All right, so we're looking at assistance to transfer the name and to get your business reflecting all the right data. All right, so since you're here, this is something I can help you do pretty easy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, all right, I think I got everything I need. If I need additional information, I can just call you for that.
I appreciate that. Don't forget me, brother. I'd be lost in the sauce without y'all, man.
No, you good. You good. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. All right. So let's see. No more hands. Sherry, hands back up again.
I didn't mean for it to be up. Sorry, I don't know how to take it down.
Oh, okay, that's cool. All right. So if we have no other questions, I'm going to save this. This has been pretty productive as far as the information. It's something that you can review.
I think it's just two more, Brother Rashid and then myself. I just got one question. Then
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I ain't see your hands up, so that's why I said that. Go ahead, guys.
I'll let Brother Rashid go first. Yeah, this. And
absolutely.
Assalamu alaikum.
Like salam, God.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask about the property tax exemption. I started that process like probably a year and a half ago, but so you said that you don't have to do the 401D process or the 401C3 process for the property tax exemption for real estate?
No, I didn't say that. That's a good way to do it. I think that when we were in the conversation, I got lost because the sister was confusing the terms. She was saying she had to go to Ohio to do the property tax exemption, but what she was doing was getting the recognition letter, basically. That's what she was about. So, so yeah, 501D is effective. You know, you get the recognition letter, and then you just follow the process in your county.
Okay. All right, that's good.
Yes, sir. For the Yogi.
God, peace, God. I think I asked you this question before, like a year ago, but as far as tax exemptions with like stocks, like, you know, trading on Robinhood or anything, is it the same situation as being an employee, basically? Because I had got an email from them and they was emailing about W-9s. So I was wondering, like, are we tax exempt, you know, when participating in, you know, trading stocks and everything?
The only way that you can be tax exempt is if you're using your business entity, one of them, any one of them, and EIN to receive and do the investment.
Okay.
If you have your indigenous name tied into it, then it's the same thing too. But if anybody's doing it in their old name without, you know, the business, you know, they're gonna, you know, they're either gonna take it from the front end or they want to go one on the back end. Back end being, you know, the IRS looking for you because they paid, they're saying they paid you, and then they're looking at you like, okay, they paid you, now you owe us. But if you use your business or your indigenous name, specifically indigenous name and business for stocks and investments, then you can bypass those, you know, liabilities.
And just one more, with all the, you know, with all the basic training going on, that we get some flag football, contact football.
Hey, that's up to the folk. You know what I mean? I was out there balling today. I love anything we do, bro. If we want to do some flag football, I'm definitely down. So we can add that to the summit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, God. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. You got your hand up, God?
Peace, God. Peace, Chief. Yes, sir. Real quick, I'm not gonna hold you. I know you get tired of her little yawn and everything. So I'm gonna make it quick. Man,
I can't go to bed, bro. I gotta get off here and work, literally, bro. Like, it never.
Oh man, there's so much. I just want to say thanks for everything. Man, I feel a little overwhelmed too. I have so many notes on here, but real quick, if you can add me on to the Form 56
Okay.
bill.
Absolutely.
And I had I have a situation where my company is on pause right now, but as far as updates, I didn't even know I had the DUNS number and everything as well. But I'm just a little confused as far as what should I do. I already have the business account with Santander under my name, you know, Young Giants. So I'm not really sure, like, as far as I stand corrected. I do have the new my new tribal information the EIN. I told
Yeah,
you
I
that.
remember you said, I remember you told me that,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah, I saw that. So, I mean, if you got the Santander bank account open, you got everything, you're actually good.
So I don't have to update it with the new name information, articles.
New name information, give me the
As far as
details.
with my paperwork, my documents I've received.
You mean your old name is on the documents with the business?
Let's see. Yes.
Ah, okay. Well, you can use it for now, but eventually you want to see how it works with the EIN is pretty easy because once you get the name correction, you don't even have to change it on there. You just have to take that document in when you go in. You can
Okay.
just to make it formal or whatever. But on the business articles, you just want to make sure address and everything is up to date and that name is reflected on the articles. So
okay.
Redo of the articles is cool. And then once it's done, you know, in a comfortable way, you can get the name reflected on the EIN. Because you don't really have a tax issue, you just actually receiving monies.
Right. And one more last quick thing, real quick. I had a situation where I had a partner, but things went sour. So that's why I have everything on pause for a minute. They didn't mention court or whatever. Is that something I had to deal with one of the jurors? Because we did a handshake, we didn't do a contract, but I felt that he breached the contract by not making the deposits into my bank account.
Ooh, yeah, yeah, because I mean, you gotta look at text messages, emails, anything that insinuates a contract and business was being done or former deposits where you were receiving the deposits from that person. Yeah, we have to collect that data because then that will be evidentiary to be used, you know, in a court situation.
Okay. If you could pair me up with someone, I guess in the future, there's no rush, but.
So
yeah,
this is a business to business deal type stuff, right?
Yes.
All right, cool. Are y'all not in court already, are y'all?
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay, good.
He said he's gonna get back with me, but he hasn't, you know, so.
It's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
I don't want to get injured, you know what I'm saying? But that's what I get for
I know.
dealing with someone outside of it, you know. But I know we do have to interface, so.
Right.
I just want to have to just regroup and just start from scratch.
Got you. All right, I got this one. This ought to be an easy one. We got a few people who can do, you know, lawsuits, claims, you know. What's probably gonna happen is they'll just end up, whoever they'll send you an intake, gather the data, and then see what can be used as evidentiary to do the claim.
Okay. Thanks, God.
Yeah, sure. All right. Kojo in the building.
Peace, God. How you doing? Quick question. So I just needed just clarity. So we're not, for the new nationals that we bring into the plebiscite, we're just putting trust, not estates only, or?
I never gave any instructions to put no estates. I don't even know where that came from. You can, I mean, estates can be meaning a lot. I don't know. A person can use it, but it's not a this versus that, like, oh, we're going to change from trust to estates. If people are having problems with the trust and banking, you know, we saw that a long time ago. So I don't know, you know, I don't know why that would be a this or that, because you can use estates for something, you know, in a particular purpose for a business or whatever, but you're still going to have to do a trade name and all the other stuff that we do.
Right. Yeah, it was just because that's how mine came in as a, so I didn't know if that was something that we would do or not. So that's why I was just.
No, it's not unlawful. It's fine. It opens the business, but it's not something that, it's not a protocol that we implemented at any time.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
And then as far as like with nationals that don't want to, it's recommended that they would, you know, look into changing their name though, right? Or they don't have to per se, but What happens if they don't?
Well, I mean, if they don't, it's not gonna adversely affect them. They still got documents to show everything and who they are.
Right.
Yeah, that's more of a in the orientation process and the intake process, maybe finding out why, or maybe, it has to be a reason why or why, why not.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an educational barrier that
Right.
they might need to understand, the cultural or spiritual significance of it.
Right.
Yeah, but ultimately it's still their choice. That's their choice. It's their choice.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
want to do that. It's not going to inhibit them from anything, any processes, anything, but it's not going to inhibit them from mundane things. But the question is the why, and getting, getting awareness of, okay, why wouldn't you want to leave that name? And people have reasons sometimes, they can come up with reasons. I've heard a lot of different reasons because, when I was doing name readings and stuff, some people were like, yeah, well, you know what? I like the name reading. I like the name, but I'm just going to keep it private. I'm just still use my. Okay, you sure? Maybe we need to do a whole lecture on the significance of a name.
Yeah.
That would be very,
To
good.
help, because it does have meaning, what you are called when people say your name has meaning. It has meaning.
Correct.
I do want, me personally, Natalie, I do want assistance on that because that was one of my questions. I just didn't bring it up today about someone to help me come up with a name.
Yeah, Brother Powerton does the name readings now, and then he has other people that does.
Oh, really? Okay, great.
Yeah, so you can get a name reading done and get a new name and all of that. We just put that on the item of to approach and kind of give some teaching on the significance of names and the use of names and the
that would be
chronology of names and the astrology of names and all of those things. That all of that is a part of what you call it.
That would be fantastic. Sign me up for that one.
Yeah, it'll be something we do on here just for nationals, just to
Yeah, very nice.
And then I guess one last question though, God. So as far as when are we scheduling to do for those who are actually doing the level 3 juris work with the exam and stuff like that?
Yeah, that definitely won't be till after the rites of passage. Brother Man, I was just talking to Brother Manuel about that, because we have to do 2 things. We have to and do them simultaneously. Update all these IOTN people who signed up for law courses, who didn't get anything, or just confusion, and just updates for level 1 and level 2 nationals who are current, just to make sure that everybody understands processes and are clear or whatever update. And by that time, based on pace, all this stuff will be closing at the same time. Then we can do level 3, because level 3 is going to take isolation for me personally to deliver it because of the content and everything.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely, God. Some hands up. All right, no more hands up.
Got a question, God.
Absolutely.
Hey, what's going on with the AMA courses?
Timing. We had new registrations that came in late December and January. They have their level 1 self-paced.
I'm in it. That's why I'm asking. I sent in homework and I never got a response. I'm like,
We don't grade homework. Only thing we're gonna grade is that test.
Oh yeah, okay.
But the reason why that is important, and I'm glad you asked, because when Sister Pasha came on, I know she signed up too, is we do have updates. So I currently don't have anybody that has a dissertation that can teach the class with me. So I got one person who is going to go through it, Sister Amana. But that will help as far as the speed and the pace. But that too is going to be after the rites of passage based on timing, because I'll be tanking out if I
So
have.
I can just go for it. In other words, just go for it.
Yeah, and then when you get to your exam, we'll
Okay.
grade the exam, and from that point, what we want to do is updates and the think tanks.
Okay.
So, people can move through.
That's peace. All right, I'll get on that. Thank you, bro.
Absolutely, bro.
That's peace.
All right, so we're looking good. I'm gonna save this so that all the data is saved. We will be back on. We have something to do before the next rites of passage. Today's Tuesday. No, we won't. We won't be back on till Sunday. And we have another update next Tuesday. But we'll have rites of passage class Sunday on the cosmology, basics of cosmology. So y'all can, some of y'all already know, some of y'all already been in the courses. But for those who don't know, that's going to help you as you shape and design your purpose and figure out where you fit in and how to properly use your energies to, figure out your innate gifts and talents and how to use them. So we'll be on Sunday with that. But other than that, we'll be handling all this other business that we have and, striving to expeditiously get things in order. Hopefully you got a lot out of this class tonight, just clarity so that everybody knows, what they basically got to do. And let's keep it pushing, man. Let's keep making this work for everybody. Keep sharing, keep everybody on the same page. And make sure, some of the stuff that unfortunately went wrong is remedied and, cleared up so folk can do what they gotta do. But I'm thankful for everybody. Thank you for tuning in tonight and taking out of your busy schedule to go for a couple hours with us. And we'll make sure this is uploaded so that everybody can review it. And if there's any questions, hit the hotline, hit the email, and we'll answer them as fast as we can. Love y'all. Thank y'all for, sticking it out. Everybody who did stick it out. And we will talk to y'all in a couple of days.
Okay.
Peace,
Thank you.
That's welcome. Peace. Thank you.
Peace, family. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you very much.
Peace, family.
Bye-bye.